On this episode of the DTVC podcast, Jon Cross from PM Entertainment Podcast, After Movie Diner Podcast, and Miscellaneous Plumbing Fixtures, he is back on to talk more erotic thrillers. So this episode we're doing a Gregory Dark double feature, and no, we're not featuring any of the Between the Cheeks films. We're going to be looking at Body of Influence and Stranger by Night, so stay tuned for that. Also, as Jon and I want to do, we had a big tangent on midlife crises. And so the way it was kind of edited, the way that the episode edited out, it was kind of fit perfectly for me to kind of take it out and put it at the end. So essentially, the first part of the episode will be talking about Body of Influence. There'll be a break. You'll get an ad for one of my novels, which hopefully you'll pause, go buy the novel, and then come back and listen to the second part. Second part, we'll be talking about Stranger by Night, and then you'll have the theme song to end the episode, and then after the theme song, there'll be that bonus footage, or the bonus content where we're talking about, having a midlife crisis and what that can look like. For me, it's going to games. For Jon, it was getting a new tattoo. So we talk about some of those things. So again, if you're up for it after the theme song, you can listen to that after. Next week, Sean Malloy from I Must Break This Podcast is back, and we're looking at more Van Damme. We're going to be looking at Assassination Games, starring Van Damme, of course, and Scott Adkins. So that'll be next week, so keep an eye out for that. And then in 2 weeks' time, Ty from Comeuppance is on for his monthly spot. We'll be looking at 2 Trap House movies. We'll be looking at the Netflix Trap House with Bautista and the To Be Original Trap House. So that'll be in 2 weeks' time. And then we'll finish out the month with Mitch from the Video Vacuum. He'll be back on. We'll be looking at Champagne and Bullets. So keep an eye out for that one in a few weeks as well. And then DTVC Extra, I'm trying to figure out what that... my plan was to do the second part of the Indiana Jones movies on the same week that we'll be doing Ty's appearance in June. In May, I guess, in the May episode in a couple weeks' time. I was going to finish off the Indiana Jones. I think I'm going to still stick with that, so we'll see what happens there. But also, this weekend, I'm going to be recording on the Lambcast about the new Mortal Kombat movie, Mortal Kombat 2. And in the process, I've been watching the other Mortal Kombat movies. So it looks like we might have another DTVC extra topic here. So I might be able to talk about the Mortal Kombat films there. So maybe DTVC extra, maybe my predictions or my news of its demise was a little bit premature because I've got more ideas now for DTVC Extra. So anyway, keep it out for that. So again, in a couple weeks, the same week that I do the Thai episode, that's probably when I'll finish off the Indiana Jones one. So keep an eye out for that there. Now I have news about the Letterbox. So if you're not following our Letterbox, you should. I generally follow people back, so follow me on Letterbox. I'll follow you back. But we posted, we already have the archive for the blog or for the site, right? We've got all the episode or all the movies we've covered on the site listed on Letterboxd. We now have another list that's all the movies we've covered on the podcast. So now it doesn't have any information about what episodes they are. So you have to, whatever your podcatcher is, search and, search for the movie and see what episode that was. Or you can even ask me. I can tell you because I've got a whole Excel file. Maybe I can put that Excel file on like a Google sheet or something. People can check that out too. So I did a whole catalog of the podcast. So I kind of, took a look at like how many episodes people have done. And if you're curious, this is Jon's 19th appearance on the podcast, which it definitely puts him up there. He's close to the 20th. So the only other people that have hit 20, Mitch has hit 20. He's been on the pod over 20 times. Obviously, Ty, he's been on the most of anybody, but he's kind of more a collaborator at this point. And of course, Jamie as well, when she was my co-host, she'd been on quite a bit as well. And then Ty and Brett as a pair, I kind of separated that out. They've also been on more than 20 times as a pair as well. So Jon is getting into that exalted territory, if you're curious. But so I got all kinds of stats and things like that on the podcast that I've been able to kind of pull together. So, which is nice to be able to pull that data, if we need it. But anyway, I was able to use that info that I had and import it into Letterboxd and create that Letterboxd list. So if you go on our Letterboxd page, when I posted on Facebook, Jon let me know that the link didn't work. Facebook gets weird about links now because I don't think they want people leaving Facebook. They want you to do everything in Facebook. And so if you post links, they aren't always kind with them. So I kind of was able to fix it and do it a different way. But Anyway, you should be following us on Letterboxd. I do have a link to our Letterboxd on the site as well, and I'll put a link in the podcast description so you can check that out too. And then speaking of the site, this past weekend we did for our PM Entertainment movie, we did The Last Rider. I don't know. I had it in my head and then I completely forgot. The Last Rider, though. Eric Estrada biker film. I believe it was the 22nd movie that PM did. So that was a fun one to watch, fun one to discuss there. So you can check out that review. And then this week is going to be Gary Daniels' birthday. So I figure we'll do another one of his. Really, all we've got left are a few Christian movies. I think we're going to do the second Mark movie, because we did the first Mark movie before, so I think we'll do the second Mark. So I got to watch that this week. I haven't seen it yet, but that's kind of what we're at with Daniels. I think he's going to put some new stuff out soon, but Dolph has a few things out this year. I think he's got at least 2 movies, but I think he's got a third one coming with David A.R. White this year as well. So once I finally get those watched, Dolph is just going to keep pulling ahead. He's already at like 71 movies, I think. So Gary Daniels is not catching him, I don't think. And then it's a question of who could maybe. Maybe Scott Adkins at some point, but I'd have to review a lot more Scott Adkins movies just to even get him close. Scott Adkins is only in the 30s for post now. So, but anyway, so we'll get another Gary Daniels movie, and he's got the second most as an actor. And speaking of the tags in those clubs, the 30 club, 40 club, etc. I got rid of like the 40 and 50 club specifically, and I created essentially a combined list of the 40 club with the 50, with the 50 club names in it as well. And then I divided it into categories. So we have the actors section of the 40 club. So it's got Dolph, Gary Daniels, Cynthia Rothrock, and Don the Dragon Wilson, who finally went in as the 40 club. And then I've got like a stunt crew one, which has got Colas McKay and Art Camacho. And then like a distributor's studio one, and that one is Canon and PM, right? They're both in the 40 club as studio distributors. And then for directors, Albert Pion, he's the only director in the 40 club. So I've kind of broken it down like that now. So if you go on the site now, you can see that new list is there. Also, again, I do have the links to the Letterboxd list. One of the things you may have noticed, I took the PM list down, and I did that because I wanted to rank all the PM movies. So I'm in the process of ranking all the PM movies, so some that I've seen anyway. So hopefully that'll get up soon. I'll be back up so you can take a look at that as well. And then I guess, again, me being on other podcasts, I mentioned I'm going to be recording for the Lambcast again, talking about Mortal Kombat 2. I just recorded recently talking about refreshing remakes, so keep an eye out for that episode. After Movie Diner, Jon posted the episode recently I did with him. We were talking about the 2 Becky movies, Becky and Wrath of Becky, so you can get that After Movie Diner podcast. Also, I was not on the most recent episode of the PM podcast, but really great one there. You should check that one. I was talking about Cell Block Sisters, so keep an eye out for that one. That one's already been released. I'm trying to think if I've been on anybody else or anything else I've had coming out here. I think I'm caught up on all of those. Most recent episode of All 90s Action All the Time, I was on that one. We talked about what did we talk about? Adrenaline, Fear the Rush, Fear the Rush, not Fear the Rust, Fear the Rush. So that's another one you can check out there as well. I think we're pretty much set here. Why don't we have Jon playing our theme song? But before we do, can you take a spare minute to go to Amazon and pick up Mark in Sales, my newest novel? It follows Mark, who is a salesperson who's really good at selling cut rate health insurance, but he sees the toll it's taking on his family because he's away from home a lot. And he's also starting to see the toll it's taking on the families who buy that cut rate health insurance. The people who are losing providers, who are having to pay more for services, things like that. And so he started to kind of have a crisis of conscience. And then his company offers him the promotion he's always wanted, and now he's not sure what he should do about that. So, the book deals with themes like getting older, what adulthood means, what responsibility means, supporting a family, all of those kinds of things. And of course, it's in the same world as Chad in Accounting, and so it's also got that kind of very character-driven approach where you kind of meet different people along the way, learn about different people along the way, but again, kind of all goes back to our main character, Mark. So again, it is Amazon, Kindle Unlimited, and in paperback, so you can check that out. You can check out any of my novels. If you haven't picked up any of my novels yet, my first one, Chad in Accounting, that one is still available to buy. Second one was A Girl and a Gun, Holtman Arms, Don's House in the Mountains, and then Nadia and Aiden, and of course Mark in Sales. So any of them are available to pick up. Also, my short action novel, Bainbridge, that is also available. So if you want, you can go pick that up as well. Always appreciate it. Anyone who wants to support any of the work I do, that I always appreciate that. But yeah, it's almost 10 minutes here, so why don't we have Jon playing our theme song, and then when we come back, Jon will be with us, so we'll be looking at 2 more erotic thrillers. Hey everyone, welcome back to the DTVC podcast. As always, this is Matt here, and I'm joined once again by Jon Cross from PM Entertainment Podcast and After Movie Diner Podcast, and of course, Miscellaneous Plumbing Fixtures as our theme song here. But we're talking more erotic thriller, and we're doing a double feature. Yeah. We're doing a Gregory Dark double feature. We're going to be looking at Body of Influence and Stranger in the Night. Is that what it is?
Stranger by Night.
Stranger by Night. That's what that's the problem with these erotic thrillers. I run into this all the time. Like when we record an episode and then I'm doing like my cold opens and I'm talking about like when we did the C. Thomas Howell ones, I could not remember if it was Dangerous Indiscretions or
Oh yeah, no, that was terrible because it could have been right. any number of combinations between dangerous and indiscretion, but is it dangerous instinct, is it
right, yeah,
is it instincts diabolique, is it I mean,
right.
I don't know, whatever.
Deadly indiscretion. Yeah.
Yes, every other indiscretion, body of indiscretion, mirror indiscretion, animal indiscretion, who knows what it is.
Right. Because that's one of the best things about that documentary is how the guy does like kind of like the movable type with the titles.
Yes.
I think it's like almost like a kitchen magnet with different words, and he's like moving them around.
Well, if you run down just the movies that Gregory Dark made that are not obviously hardcore stuff like Between the Cheeks 3.
Between the Cheeks, right.
Which is still I mean, if you didn't get enough Between the Cheeks 1 and 2, don't worry, here comes Between the Cheeks 3. And by the way, gets 6.7 on IMDb.
People love it. It's funny when I see that title because in college we had this friend, my friend Petrowski, we had this other friend who his name is Corey, would like freak out at things a lot. So we took him into a porn store thinking like we would get him to freak out at stuff, and he just wasn't there. He wasn't buying it. He wasn't biting. He was just kind of didn't care. So we started reading off titles, and one of the movies was called Deep Cheeks. And suddenly, Deep Cheeks became this thing for us. I think when I was doing the Marge character calling your show, I think I called in looking for Deep Cheeks as a movie.
Cheeks, yeah.
Right, yes.
No. So what I love about this, and I've not seen any of these movies, and I'm not clicking into them either, but Between the Cheeks 1, 6.6 on IMDb.
Right.
Between the Cheeks 2, however, a sharp drop off. A sharp drop off. Between the Cheeks 2 only getting a 5.6. Very disappointing. But Between the Cheeks 3 brings it back home. Whatever the audience wanted from Between the Cheeks 1, they were not getting from Between the Cheeks 2. But Between the Cheeks 3 is giving you all the cheeks and the betweenage that you're looking for, which is fantastic. But no, if you go through like Gregory Dark's resume, when we're talking about titles where you're just like I don't know, it could be interchangeable with whatever. You've got Carnal Crimes, Mirror Images, Secret Games, Night Rhythms, Animal Instincts, Body of Influence, Sins of the Night, Secret Games 1, 2, and 3, Mirror Images 1, 2, and 3, Animal Instincts 1, 2, and 3, Object of Obsession, Stranger by Night, Undercover Heat. I mean, any of them. And by the way, any of those titles fit any of those movies. There's not really. I mean, Undercover Heat. Okay, yes, she does technically go undercover at a brothel, like you do, Matt. You do. You go undercover at a brothel. Um, I actually liked Undercover Heat.
I have to see that one.
I almost messaged you to say, I don't know about Stranger by Night. Let's whip in Undercover Heat. But considering that Body of Influence has just so many sex scenes, I thought another film like Undercover Heat, which is basically because what we have to explain right off the bat is Gregory Dark is the PM Entertainment of softcore film, meaning
Yeah.
it's shot beautifully because he normally has Wally Pfister or someone of equal stature as his cinematographer. It's got all the film noir vibes that you want percolating underneath. But then he knows that every 5 minutes, if he isn't getting TNA on the screen or some kind of bouncy bouncy happening, then he's not doing his job. And so a lot of his films, Animal Instincts, Undercover Heat, Body of Influence, some of the ones I've watched, Night Rhythms, some of the ones I've watched over the last week, because I kind of went, you know me, Matt, I don't do anything by halves. You said let's do an erotic thriller thing. I said, well, how about a couple of Gregory Dark movies? Cut to me a week later having watched 7 Gregory Dark
That's
movies.
awesome.
But a lot of them are just, where PM Entertainment would throw in a fight or a chase
Yeah.
or an explosion or a car flip. He throws in yet another implausible sex scene. Um, and because Body of Influence already does that, and because Stranger by Night doesn't do that to the same extent, I thought, well, let's not over egg the TNA pudding. Let's just do one that is full Gregory Dark, and then one where I'm not quite sure what he's trying to do, but we'll get into it in the show. But no, that's just to say, Matt, that I've gone deep, sir. I've gone deep, deep, deep undercover with the Gregory Dark films, and I have
Between
to
the
say,
cheeks.
yeah, I've gone between the cheeks. That's what I've done. I've gone deep between the cheeks. Not Gregory Dark's cheeks, just his
His oeuvre cheeks.
his oeuvre. Yes,
His
his cheeky oeuvre is
cheeky
what I've yeah.
oeuvre.
That's what I've gone deep into his cheeky oeuvre. Matt, how many Gregory Dark movies had you seen before we took on this challenge?
So I had seen the two Wingshauser ones that we discussed. I didn't realize he did See No Evil. I saw that in the theater with my friends and
Right.
was thoroughly grossed out by it. But I didn't realize it wasn't meant. I would just
Oh,
what
you're
I
talking about the slasher film with Big Show in it, right?
exactly. I
Yeah.
thought that the guy was using the hook to just gouge people, just like scrape people's eyes out. I didn't realize he was just like pulling full eyes out, which would have been funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, this is disgusting. I can't handle this. And
Oh,
so that,
really? Okay. Well,
yeah,
the sequel, what's funny about the See No Evil is I thought See No Evil, I watched it years ago before I even knew who Gregory Dark was.
yeah, same here. Yeah,
See No Evil, I thought was fine. It was
yeah.
very average. It was fine. However, See No Evil 2, which is a Soska twins film, I
Yeah.
loved. I mean, talk about
Okay.
dripping atmosphere and spooky hospital setting. And I mean, it's basically their Halloween too, because it's all set in a hospital and you've got
Right.
Danielle Harris and da 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 da. Da. But they make the most of it. I'll just put it that way. And I thought that it was excellent. I mean, I love their early movies, American Mary and See No Evil 2 and Hooker in the Trunk of a Car, whatever it's called.
Yeah. Now
I think it's just called Hooker in the Trunk.
yeah, no, that's yeah. I should check that out then. I should, because there's stuff. Yeah, like you said, yeah, it's definitely a little more. I mean, I did realize the other Gregory Dark I've seen is Animal Instincts, which
Yes, which
Mitch
I
movie.
watched last night.
Did you, yeah, that
Yeah,
one. I think that probably would have been our other movie. I think, but I covered that one with Mitch a
yeah.
couple of years ago. It's actually for the YouTube podcast episode, like the episodes that are on YouTube. That's like got more than like I don't know, like any of them. Like, but it's like
Oh, sure. Because
yeah,
I have one, like, for example, my PM Entertainment episode on Skyscraper has something like 14,000 views on YouTube.
wow,
And
yeah,
what you find when you look at the thing is they think it's Skyscraper the movie. They don't see the fact that it says episode, whatever number episode it is, and
yeah,
Skyscraper and PM Entertainment podcast. I label it. I don't label it Skyscraper the full movie.
right,
But they think it's Skyscraper the full movie, and when it isn't, the drop off like 14,000 people may have watched the first 10 seconds,
right,
but it pretty much drops off after that. Funny enough, years ago I did Skin Trade the Dolph Lundgren,
Yeah.
Peter Weller movie on the After Movie Diner because I had got a screener for it, I think. And when that one went up on uh, YouTube, it got something stupid like 100,000, 200,000, whatever it is, however many hundreds
Right.
of thousands of views. And then all the comments underneath it in lots of different languages, I have to literally Google translate them, are all like, fuck you, where's the movie? And I'm like, it's literally called After Movie Diner episode, whatever it is,
This,
slash skin trade. And then
yeah.
there's a whole long description that says Jim Wallace and myself cover skin trade and talk about the movie, blah, blah,
Right.
blah, blah, blah. Like, and then you're angry at me. So if you ever wonder why the world is so divided, it's because people who don't even read anything
Right.
get pissed at someone who put their podcast, clearly labeled as a podcast, up on YouTube, and they're still like from around the world. I had to translate a bunch of different men. They're just like, "Fuck you, where's the movie?" I'm like, I'm not someone who's putting movies up for free on YouTube, you know. So
No, yeah, I never considered that. That like with Animal Instincts, people were thinking that, so for people listening who are trying to get a hold of Animal Instincts, the Internet Archive has all three of the Animal Instincts. So you can check all three of them
as does
out.
Plex.
Plex has the animal. Oh, that's right, they have them now. That's right. So yeah, so I think when Mitch and I covered them, this was been like, was it 2024? Might have been 2025. It might have been, but I remember at that time the volume of erotic thrillers that you can find now wasn't quite there. It seems like it's getting to be better. Like we're starting to see more of these
Oh,
movies
much better. I mean,
available.
between Tubi, Plex, and
Zumo,
Dumo, but there was another one as well, Pluto.
Pluto had one. Yeah,
So between those four randomly named, why are they not just one streaming service, uh, free thing, I was able to find the 7 or 8 Gregory Dark movies I've watched in the last few days. There were a few things, Matt, that about this. One is that I really do think. I after watching a few of these, I was like, oh, maybe I want to own a couple of these. Like, I'll go on eBay and see. And even for the VHS, even for a beat up VHS, they're charging ridiculous money for these erotic thrillers because they obviously believe them to be in demand. And I'm
yeah,
like, to be honest, yes, I would like to own a few of these because they are kind of
yeah.
fun. In fact, I'd like to see like PM Entertainment. I'd like to see a few of them cleaned up and put onto Blu-ray. Because even the Skin Max double bills that MVD are putting out, MVD Video are putting out a series called Skin Max, which, for example, two of them
Oh,
are
yes,
Cell Block Sisters and Caged Hearts, which
right.
are two PM Entertainment distributed films.
Yeah.
They executive produce Cell Block Sisters and then Caged Hearts.
Are those Henri Chars?
They're Henri Char films. They're
Yeah.
Henri Char.
Henri Char.
They're Henri Char films. Or Henry Cha. I don't know how he pronounces his name, but it is what it is. They are Henri Char films, but Cell Block Sisters and Cage Hearts, for example, was a double bill. Even these, what's interesting about this release, for example, I believe Cell Block Sisters is a 4:3. It looks like an early DVD rip. It doesn't look as
Yeah.
bad as a VHS rip, but it looks like an early DVD rip. Whereas Caged Hearts is full 16 by 9 widescreen, and looks like potentially like a later DVD thing. So they're not even being consistent when they're being re-released. They're simply just putting whatever the cheapest version they can scramble and put out on DVD, which I think is a real shame because there is something to these movies that I would love to see preserved. And in fact, in that documentary, We Kill for Love, that you were referencing earlier, the quality of the footage that he shows is really great. And I'm
Yeah.
like, where is he getting these at Blu-ray quality from? I mean, is he just upgrading that clip as he goes? I mean, I
Yeah.
don't, I honestly don't know, but some of the quality of the footage in some of those, I've not been able to find any of the films, even on streaming or whatever, in that quality. So, I would like. I'm glad MVD and SkinMax are kind of putting out some so that you can have a little library of them. But it would be nice to see Animal Instinct's getting a 3-disc box set from Vinegar Syndrome, or they did fucking all 6 Vice Academies, and those movies suck. So let's at least get you, even the first. What I don't understand is how are there 6 Vice Academies? The first Vice Academy is terrible. Who watched the first one and went, "We should make a second one. We should
No,
really."
it must have done really well. I mean, I watched those. I remember watching them on USA Up All Night and being like, it was this was before cell phones and things like that.
Right, right,
But I
right.
remember them being like this sort of in the background thing. Like if we're doing like a sleepover and watching USA Up All Night, it was like we would be playing games or doing something while Vice Academy's on in the background. It wasn't like we were just like, oh, let's watch Vice Academy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is a fascinating thing that a movie like that would have six
Well, because it's
sequels.
not erotic enough to be like titillating to teenage boys, and it's not funny enough to be a sort of enduring sex romp in the
Yeah,
style of, Revenge of the Nerds or Hot Dog the Movie or Hamburger or whatever, those
yeah,
movies that, you can still watch Splits or
yeah.
Hots or any of those kind of films. It's not funny enough to be one of those, and it's not sexy enough to fall in with the uh, even it's not even as sexy as something like An Invisible Maniac, which again is another terrible movie, but at least it has some kind of level of titillation, horror, and comedy. At least it
Yes.
has enough of those genres mixed in that it's a passable watch.
Yeah.
Vice Academy 1 is a tough slog to get through, let alone the later ones. So yeah, it's that whole franchise is weird to me. But let's get Mirror Images out. Let's get Secret Games out. Let's get Animal Instincts out. And with Wally Pfister's cinematography, I would love to see some of that on Blu-ray widescreen.
Yeah. Well, and I would say, at least with like the podcast streams on Spotify, which at least those can't be confused for people thinking they're watching the movie. They
Right.
know we're discussing them. Yeah, I mean, between our erotic thriller episodes that we've been doing, and then the one that Mitch and I did on Animal Instincts, people really responded well to them. They like they like
Right.
talking about these movies. They think they this is an area of low budget cinema that has kind of disappeared for a period because the
Right.
streamers didn't want to touch it. YouTube, these movies wouldn't usually make it to YouTube because they're too explicit. And now that they're starting to come back, but I think also younger audiences. 'Cause I'm noticing the demographics on Spotify for the people listening are getting younger. Also, more women than before are listening as well. So it's not just like men aged 35 to 45 or whatever it was.
Right.
It was
It's
just
not just all of our friends.
exactly right. Exactly. All the other fellow podcasters just listening. But
Yeah.
I think these movies in particular, they're a fascinating thing, I think, especially for younger generations to be like, because they're such a time capsule. It's like,
Well, also because what's interesting about them, and as I say, I watched a bunch of Gregory Dark ones this week, and listen, they range from a very strong 3.5 out of 5 to a pretty weak 2 out of 5. But
yeah,
they're in that section. No, I don't think any of them get to a 4 or a 5, and I don't think any of them are bad enough to be a 1, but they're in the sort of 2 to 3.5. I think that's a reasonable, from if we're talking IMDb ratings, we're talking like 4 to like a 6.5, 7,
yeah,
7, that kind of area, which I think is absolutely fine. It's where they should live. It's perfectly fine. What's interesting about all of them, even the ones that are way more sexual than some of the others, is that they're really interesting because they have enough of a plot that you are genuinely interested in, like, oh, how are they going to wrap this up? They have, the sex is arousing enough that it doesn't become a chore watching kind of a rinse and repeat sort of thing throughout the movie. In the same way that PM Entertainment's action sequences, they are interesting enough, and they are different enough that seeing 5 in a row, you're like, yes, please keep showing me action sequences.
right,
Um, but then also because they're shot and have pretty decent sound. They're shot well and they have pretty decent soundtracks. There's actually this interesting thing that happens when you watch a bunch of them, I found, is that you sort of learn this interesting like economy of storytelling. Like it's this interesting kind of writer's exercise that if you take, because if you took all the dialogue from any of the sort of heavily sexual movies, Undercover Heat, Body of Influence, or Night Rhythms, you would probably have 3 pages of dialogue. It wouldn't be a lot of pages of dialogue, right? But the fact that within those 3 pages, they've established character, they've established a sort of a driving plot line, whether it's a guy being chased for being framed for a crime he didn't commit, or what, or whether it's a woman sort of figuring out who she really is and going through exploration of her life and her loves and whatever. There's enough of a through line that you're sort of genuinely interested in that character. And also, and we'll get into this as well, especially with Shannon Whirry, but you come across these actors who, yes, are predominantly their names are thrown around because they're in a lot of TNA movies, and it's fun to kind of throw around sort of softcore porn names and make jokes or whatever. But it's what's interesting is that especially in Body of Influence, but you see these people are like genuine actors. And I know, again, everyone's going to laugh at me or whatever, but like, I think her performance in Body of Influence is a genuinely arresting, weird, interesting, diabolical kind of performance. Similarly, I was watching Cell Block Sisters, and in fact, I've recorded an episode with Aaron Dawn from the Manic Monday movie podcast, which, by the way, if you ever want a female-driven movie podcast that talks action, erotic thrillers, horror, all that kind of stuff, Manic Movie Monday is absolutely phenomenal. Really, really good show, and Erin knows her stuff. So I got her on the show to talk Cell Block Sisters, and Annie Woods, who's in that movie, who only did a few of these films and then kind of became an artist and some other stuff that she's been doing with her life, and a writer and a producer and a director and other things. But Annie Woods gives such an arresting performance in Cell Block Sisters. It's akin to a Wings Hauser or a Michael Moriarty or one. She is an actor who kind of pops off the screen as being both realistic and stylized at the same time, and you don't really know where the person ends and the character begins. And I feel like Worry is a bit like that in some of the films that I've seen her in. So there's enough in these Gregory Dark movies, and there's enough in this genre in general, that I think, without being cynical, without being it's so bad it's good, without being ironic, without being whatever, I think is stuff to discover in this, even if it is just how do you balance extreme titillation, ridiculous film noir plots, and comedy, and comedy or dramatic lighting and cinematography or whatever it is. How do you balance this stuff? And although Gregory Dark is clearly someone who has his focus, and when he's not fully focused on it, it maybe doesn't turn out the best stuff. When he is focused on it, I actually think he's an underappreciated director, which sounds ridiculous, but I have to say, having watched 7 of his movies back to back, I could watch another 7 next week without having a problem.
Yes, no, I totally agree. No, just as I was while you were talking here, I went on Apple Podcasts so I could follow the Manic Movie podcast before I forgot. So
yeah.
But also, I think something with the AI and Apple Podcasts, it might link it in the description, because it sometimes will say other podcasts mentioned in this podcast. So maybe me saying it one more time.
Is it Manic Movie Monday?
Manic Movie Monday. Yep, Manic Movie Monday podcast. Yep.
Yeah, and it's Aaron Dawn as the host, and she's fantastic, and you'll hear her again on the PM Entertainment podcast, because she's going to show up on the Cell Block Sisters episode. But we're also going to be doing all 3 Bikini Summer films over the next 3 summers, or maybe we'll do 2 this summer and 1 next summer.
Right.
But,
perfect.
But she'll come back on the show again. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I need to see those for sure. But getting back to Shannon Whirry, this was something when I watched Animal Instincts, I noticed, and of course I see it here as well. I think she's a great actor, and I think but her acting skills, right? Like she's not going to be like a Meryl Streep or something like that. And so like her acting skills in the greater acting world would be like, guest star or maybe like supporting role on a
Well, but
sitcom
that's what I'm
or
saying. Like a Michael Moriarty, like a Wings Hauser,
exactly,
like a
yeah.
she is A list in the B list kind of thing. She's sort of A list in the B grade.
Well, yeah,
Rather than necessarily, you're right. I don't think you could plonk her in a Hollywood drama and necessarily pull the kind of performance out of her that she gives in Body of Influence or even Animal Instincts. But I think within her genre, she's a head above the pack or whatever the word. I don't know. I
well,
want to say
that's no,
head and
because
shoulders above the rest of the pack is what I mean. Yeah.
right, because what it is it's like for somebody who does this, these erotic thrillers, and she really goes there with these, with the
Oh
sex
yeah,
scenes.
completely.
She really go it, and I think that's the thing that makes her so fascinating is that she is a great actor who then will, so like in the greater acting world, she's like I said, she's going to do supporting roles, that kind of thing. But in this world, where she's
Right.
chosen to be in this world, because I don't think every actor would choose to do the scenes she does, and
No.
they would kind of, sort of keep doing those sort of lower tier things and hope they get there according to Jim, or whatever.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah. And she went a different path
Right.
and she's doing, and so
Yeah.
it's like, and so you see this acting. I mean, we're going to talk about it a bit when we talk about, body of influence. I was going to say body of
Body of
deception,
influence.
but not
Yeah,
body
yeah.
of
Body of
influence.
deception.
Right.
Deceptive body. I don't know that I would want to watch an erotic thriller called Deceptive Body because I'd be like, oh, what kind of body am I?
Right, exactly. But the funny thing is, like, she's acting opposite Nick Cassavetes, who is
Yeah.
one of the more fascinating Nepo babies in Hollywood
Yes.
because, he's coming from, John Cassavetes and
Well, I like
Gina
that his
Rowlands.
nepotism only got him so far. It
Right,
only got him to
yeah.
Gregory Dark movies. His nepotism didn't get him much further than that.
Well, look, a few years later, he has that small role in Face Off, right? He's
Right. But I
yeah,
mean,
but
you know what I'm
exactly,
saying. Yes, yes,
right.
yes.
But it's fascinating to see sort of this again. It's a roundabout way to be a nepo. Like it's a fascinating version of the nepo baby. It's not
Yes.
like but by the same token, he's acting opposite Shannon Whirry, who they probably both kind of he comes from the nepo baby world, comes down, and then she's kind of coming up, and they kind of meet each
Yeah.
other in the middle there. Um,
Sure.
and yeah, it's a fascinating. I mean, because he in general. He's not as schlubby as Mark Singer was in Victim of Desire,
No.
uh, but he's not as like put together as say like a Jack Scalia or a Harry Hamlin, like where you're just like, oh, these guys are like real leading men. You can see,
Right, right, right.
he doesn't have that either going for him. I was trying to think of like, I think he's unique unto himself when it comes to these. There's really nobody that we've looked at so far that's like a Nick Cassavetes in one of
No.
these.
No, I mean, I can't think of a human being who's like a Nick
Right,
Cassavetes.
right, right.
Like the first half of the movie, I was just watching it going, is he going to do anything?
Right. I mean,
And then suddenly he did something. But like there was, yes, it was very, very bizarre. But I mean, look, good luck. I have said time and time again that if I could click my fingers and have my druthers, it would be to have a Wings Hauser-esque,
yeah,
Michael Moriarty-esque career. I don't want the Tom Cruise career. Don't want
no,
it at all. Couldn't want it at all. But if you want me to be slightly off kilter and not know whether it's me you're watching or a character I'm playing and be confused, I'm your guy. Like put me in your movies. Like that's where I live. I live in a sweet spot between is this really John or is this something he's making up? And you'll never know, Matt. You'll never know. No, I'm we've met in reality. You know who I
right. I
actually am.
bet you. Right.
But
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying, if you want me in a film, I'd much rather be that guy. And I think what was so refreshing watching Undercover Heat and Body of Influence is that both Shannon Whirry and then the woman in Undercover Heat. Give me 1 second, I will look it up. Where is it? Undercover Heat. Both Shannon Whirry in Body of Influence and Athena Massey in Undercover or Undercover Heat. Both of them, what I loved was it was great. You are finding a female actor who gives you the same kind of thrill in their performance. I'm not talking about the nudity. I'm talking about in their performance that a Moriarty, a Hauser, a Donald Pleasance, these off Peter Weller, these off kilter actors that really speak to me to the point where I kind of collect all their stuff. And Athena Massey or Shannon Whirry, after seeing the movies I've seen this week, fall into that camp, and I love that. I love being able to have actual females I can list rather than just a long string of men.
Yeah, and I think we were talking last time about Shannon Tweed, and then also Joan Severance. We've done a
Right,
few of her
Severance
movies.
is another one. Yeah, yeah, completely.
Yeah, and I think Whirry is kind of you could put her with the other with the other two queens of erotic thrillers, right? You could put her with Shannon Tweed and with Joan Severance, but she inhabits such a different space from them.
Yes.
She brings such a different energy when she's in a movie. It's
Yeah,
like
so I mean, yeah, Joan Severance strikes me as a Hollywood actor who is doing B movies,
yeah,
whereas Shannon Whirry strikes me as a queen of the B movies.
yeah,
Like what I mean by that is, um, don't ever put Shannon Whirry in an A-list picture because they would limit her.
right.
They would inhibit her wilder decisions, especially in Body of Influence, where she's sort of playing all these different characters within one body, right?
Yeah,
Whereas Severance isn't going that wild. Like Severance is not suddenly doing mad characters or voices or whatever. Severance is more iconic in the sense of like a Hollywood actor is iconic because she knows. But what Severance's power is, she knows sultry. She knows how to just be, oh, you need someone to walk into this scene, and every single man's head in the place turns, and the saxophone starts playing the moment she shows up. That's just Severance. Like she comes in and effortlessly. That is just Severance, and it's not just about her looks. It's a thing. It's a frizz-on. You can't kind of put your finger on it. It's not that Shannon Whirry doesn't turn heads. Of course she does. She's an incredibly attractive woman, and she would totally be able to play that scene. But she wouldn't be playing that scene in a movie with much budget. And I wouldn't want her to because I'd want her to play that scene in the more esoteric way that she would play that scene, and Hollywood wouldn't let her do that. So does that kind of make sense? I don't know whether I'm
yeah.
explaining it
Because
particularly well, but
no, because I think you're right. Like when Shannon Whirry comes into Nick Cassavetes, psychology. I mean, maybe I should do
right.
a quick synopsis of this movie, and then I don't
Well,
know.
yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, we jumping in and
yeah. I
now
guess
covering the movies.
I guess we're already in. Yeah, we're already
We're
knee
already
deep.
in.
But yeah,
Okay,
we're
cool,
knee
cool,
deep.
cool, cool,
Yeah,
cool. But no, I was going to just mention Athena Massey has a PM Entertainment
oh,
connection. So although I loved her in Undercover Heat, she was fantastic. She does show up in LA Heat, the
yeah.
TV series, and she's also in Cybertracker 2.
Oh, right, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Athena Massey went deep into the PM.
Yeah, which we never really got any of the other ones in a PM flick. We never got we never got Tweed never did a PM movie.
Oh, she's in a PM distributed
oh, that's right.
version.
That's right. She did the PM distributor. That's right.
Stormy Nights.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
So she did that. Yes, that's right. I forgot. That's right. Yeah.
And is she in Sinful Intrigue or is
Oh,
she only in Stormy Nights? Because Sinful Intrigue is also a PM.
oh, good.
Sinful Intrigue. And it has a very Tweed-esque woman on the front, but I don't know if it is Tweed. It
I
is
think
not.
Bobby Johnston.
It's Bobby Johnston
Yeah, which has
and
no
Becky
picture.
Mullen. Becky Mullen is or Griffin Drew is the blonde bombshell on the front cover of Sinful Intrigue,
Sinful
which
injury.
was also distributed by PM, but it is not Shannon Tweed. You can see, though, from the front cover of Sinful Intrigue how one might get confused.
Right. Well, because that was the thing. I think they even talked about. I think we talked about that even right when we talked about uh, Scorned because they did the sequel to Scorned with Tane McClure, who looks a
Right,
lot
right,
like
right.
And actually, when you go to Tubi, you'll see a good chunk of movies that have a blonde woman with long hair that looks like it could be Tweed, and then you look it
Right.
up online and realize no, it's not her.
It's not Tweed
So
at all, yeah.
yeah, which is kind of crazy because I don't think anybody else, like I don't think anybody made movies with people who looked like Shannon Whirry or Joan Severance and tried to pass them off
But
as them.
Worry and Tweed, see, this is the other thing, right? So whereas, and it's great because I think that Worry and Tweed live on the same plane. I
Yeah,
think they are movies that are predominantly sort of film noir based with a sex scene every 5 to 10 minutes, like you would have an action scene in a PM film, and that's kind of the world they live in. It's probably top budget of the low budget, if you know what I mean
yeah,
by that.
yeah.
But what's interesting is while Shannon Tweed gets the sort of iconic, sort of the Dolly Parton of the, of the softcore kind of, uh, she gets that kind of status, right? I actually think Shannon Whirry is much more interesting to watch, like
Yes.
far more interesting to watch, and a much better actor than
Yeah.
Tweed. And so I would think of, I was trying to think of a good comparison between, but it's like, well, who's as iconic as someone like a Tweed, but in the action world, who is, a Chuck Norris, and I know he's just died, and very
Yeah.
sad, but Chuck Norris has this iconic status. But
Right.
when you sit down to watch Chuck Norris movies, you're like, oh, right, this is a Chuck Norris movie. It's going to be a slog, right? There's no point. Do any of his movies just breeze by? You know what I mean? There's always a bit where it stops and you're like, oh God, it's a Chuck Norris movie. Get me through this. Whereas someone like a Jeff Speakman or a Don the Dragon Wilson or a Wings Hauser, whatever, you pick your PM Entertainment B movie star of choice, right? They're all infinitely more interesting actors than Chuck Norris, all of them.
Yeah.
But his movies, because he's Chuck Norris, and not just because of the Chuck Norris sort of sayings website,
Right.
which interestingly enough was put together by a guy who's never even watched the Chuck Norris movie, which is
Right.
says all you need to know as to why Chuck Norris has all these bizarre facts about him, even though anyone watching him on screen would not believe he's not tough or interesting or particularly
No.
anything on screen at all. Anyway,
No. Yes. No.
uh,
No. I
but
think that came out of.
you look at his contemporaries in
Yeah.
the same way that you have Shannon Tweed and Shannon Whirry, and I'd rather watch anything by Shannon Whirry. I'm not necessarily racing to see the next Shannon Tweed film because I just don't. There's just not a. I just don't know what Tweed is apart from obviously her looks
Yeah.
and her body and her. I just don't know what Tweed is bringing to the party that a Monique Parent or Shannon Whirry or what was her name? Anathea,
Oh, yeah. Athena Massey.
Athena Massey
Yeah.
they're bringing more stuff to the party. I'm just more interested. I'm just
Yeah.
more interested, I guess. And even
Yeah.
the woman, even though I wasn't a huge fan of the movie, even Jennifer Rubin in
Yeah.
Stranger by Night, again, interesting. Like an interesting look, interesting actor, interesting choices, very realistic, but also definitely playing a character. Like this is interesting to me. There's stuff here I want to explore. Shannon Tweed is iconic. I get why. I understand why. I get why people put her on the Mount Rushmore of sort of Skinamax softcore stuff. But yeah, give me a Worry or a Reuben or any of them more than yeah, Shannon Tweed.
Yeah. Well, no, I think the thing with Tweed, because when we did the two Tweed movies, one Scorned seemed to let her do, she was much better at Scorned, I think, than any,
Yes,
she really, but then like Victim of Desire, I think we were talking about this, like her best stuff at Victim of Desire comes at the end when
right,
she's interacting with Wings Hauser.
right.
And it is interesting how Shannon Worry, and maybe it's because she works with Gregory Dark, and Shannon Tweed, I don't think ever worked with Gregory Dark. I don't know
No,
if
but
it,
Worry would have been great in a film like Victim of Desire.
Oh, she would have been great in anything, right? But I wonder if Tweed, if she'd gotten a chance to work with someone like a Gregory Dark, if he could have. But that's a good point too, because like you said, these Gregory Dark movies, they're shot well, but like the stories are. I mean, like the person who wrote Body of Influence or Body of Influence, the person who wrote that, I think he wrote two other things. Because I looked him up because there's a scene where Shannon Whirry tells Nick Cassavetes to take off his trousers. And I was
Right.
like, trousers? Is this guy from England? The writer, is he from England? Because,
Yeah.
why would she say trousers and not pants? And
Right.
I was like, I wanted to find out. And I looked him up and saw he just written two Gregory Dark movies, and that was it. That's all he
But I
done.
also feel, and tell me if you didn't get this, but I also felt that similarly to sitting down and watching a Jim Wynorski film or
Yeah.
a Fred Olen Ray movie,
Yeah.
that Dark's sense of humor, and I also think Dark's kinks, are very obvious throughout his films.
Yeah.
That I think that in a similar way to Jim Wynorski and Fred Olen Ray, you go, okay, these may have been written by someone else, but it's a Jim Wynorski movie, and you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
tell because there'll be some weird sense of humor. There'll be a bonkers sex scene that doesn't make any sense. And Julie Strain will be doing something.
Right,
It's
right.
definitely a Wynorski film, right?
Yeah.
Uh, Similarly with Fred Olen Ray, I felt the same way with Gregory Dark. I thought that here is a guy who both wants to be making more classy films, but at the same time, excessively loves that he just gets to film people's tongues flicking each other.
Yes, yeah, no, I agree. I agree. And I think it does, like body of influence is definitely helped by the fact that Shannon Whirry just goes for it. And that, the other actor, Sandal Bergman, she goes for it. Like
Yeah.
they're just game. And yeah, it would have been interesting
It
to
also
see.
helps for there to be a giant, weird 1920s Grecian statue made out of green neon in the back of almost
Right,
every scene.
right, exactly, exactly. Yeah.
And if you
I
don't believe me, go to everyone listening, go to IMDb, and it's like the sixth picture down. You can see
right.
Worry up against the pole with the green neon
Right.
Grecian glass whatever statue that is, and why you would have that in your house, and why would your house have pink marble pillars everywhere?
Right.
It's so late 80s, early 90s. It's just divine.
It's one of these things about the erotic thriller that is just like the most amazing thing is these sets that they use for
Oh,
these
these
movies.
independently wealthy people.
Yes, I mean, so maybe I'll do a quick
Yes, yes.
synopsis here.
Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry. Let's
yeah.
go into
We'll
it
do
properly.
we'll do the
Sorry,
quick.
Matt. You tee it
No,
off, my
no
friend.
worries. No, Body of Influence, it has Nick Cassavetes as a therapist who apparently only has hot women as his clients. He has
Yes.
nobody else as his clients.
Yeah.
But one of his clients, Shannon Whirry, she is potentially dealing with multiple personality disorder. Her name is Laura, but there's a Lana personality that seems to work in a brothel, and she's trying to reconcile these two. But
It's
what
much like Separate Lives with Jim
Right.
Belushi and Linda Hamilton.
Exactly, yeah. And at the same time, Richard Roundtree, which is just whenever Richard Roundtree's in one of these movies, it's the biggest coup ever.
Yes.
I mean, he as an actor, he was like Richard Gere level leading man,
Oh
and
yeah,
yeah, right.
in
And so
these movies, getting Richard Roundtree is like Austin Powers getting Tom Cruise. You know
right,
what I mean?
exactly, yeah. And so he
I
is,
just pulled that, Matt. I just pulled that example out of my head,
that was
but it's a
great.
perfect example, right?
Exactly,
Because in the movie, you're just like, oh my God, they got Tom Cruise. Like everyone
right,
else shows up, you're like, yeah, I know Kevin
yeah,
Spacey will do Doctor Evil or whatever.
right,
He'll
yeah.
show up for a paycheck, but like then Tom Cruise shows up, and you're like, whoa, fuck, Tom
Right.
Cruise is in the movie. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Richard Roundtree is investigating a serial killer. He's been asking for Nick Cassavetes' help, which, right,
He's investigating a serial killer, right? We don't know anything about the serial killer. In fact, I
right,
think we find out that he's what he's investigating, like in the fourth or fifth scene. It's not even
right,
part of the A plot. It's
right.
just
No, no, it's
like
right. Yeah.
background.
It's a,
But also, dude, like and he wants Cassavetes' help as sort of a crack criminal psychologist who
right,
only treats hot blonde
right.
frustrated housefrows, right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
so he's apparently also this phenomenal criminal psychologist.
Yeah.
Although every time he is meant to be with the police helping them out, he's not there
Right.
at all. Like he doesn't help them out at all. In fact, he lets Roundtree down the whole fucking movie,
Right.
only for Roundtree to inexplicably, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
I don't want to spoil the ending just yet, but like
Yeah.
inexplicably Roundtree is just like, go free.
Right. Exactly. No. So what happens is that Worry's character, the Lana side of her character,
Right, right, right.
starts to insinuate herself in Nick Cassavetes' life. She because he was filming his client
Yes, he was
session with his
filming his
clients,
clients.
and Sandal Bergman comes in and he thinks that Lana sent Sandal Bergman in, so he has sex with her, only to find out that wasn't the case. And Lana,
Well, so yeah, sorry. Do you mind if I just so
yeah, go
Nick
ahead, yeah,
Cassavetes' character,
yeah,
right, is meant to be right. He's a sexual therapist,
right,
but he is so buttoned up, like
yeah,
so protected and so so proper, prim and proper, that no one would ever believe that he was sexually inappropriate with anyone ever.
Yeah.
Nobody believes this man has a penis at all.
Right.
And he also films his sessions, right? And there are many sessions that he watches back at home,
Right.
eerily, neon lit,
Right.
about to masturbate before his wife comes in, right?
Yeah.
Where the women in question, even though he doesn't do anything, but the
Yeah.
women in question basically like come over and lap dance him, like
Yeah.
in his face, kind of thing, right?
Right.
And everyone's like, "Oh, nothing will ever happen. Nothing will ever happen." Shannon Whirry comes in, right? Wraps him around her little finger and other protuberances from her body. Wraps him around things, and then she says, "I'm not going to do anything with you yet. You're too clean. I need you sullied.
Yeah.
I will send someone, and you will know when I send someone, kind of thing, and you're
Yeah.
to have sex with them." Sorry, I'm just
Yes. No, no,
saying a
exactly.
little thing.
So Worry takes the tape and brings it over to his house and shows the wife. Wife is like, I'm leaving you, but he's like, she's like, hey, now that she's out of the picture, it's just you and me. And he has sex with her. And then it's essentially this kind of this obsession thing where he's just losing his clients because he's just going to sleep with her all the time. She's
Oh, she
getting him in.
destroys everything about his life. Everything.
Yes.
He loses everything
Yeah.
because he himself makes all of the wrong decisions. And
Yes.
even at one point in the movie goes, I feel so free. I keep making these decisions and losing everything, but
Right.
actually I feel better and better each time it happens. And I'm like,
Right.
this is insane.
Right. Yes, exactly. Exactly. So
He had a bevy of hot women coming
right.
into his office every single day,
Paying him for
throwing
the
themselves at him.
right.
Women who, by the way, they show up later. Who's the woman who shows up later who's like, hey, what's happened to our sessions? And he's just like, I've got no time for you now. Be gone,
Was it
foul
Sandal
wench.
Bergman
I
or
think it must have been Santa Fe.
yeah.
And be gone, foul wench. And you're like, no, not be gone. Like,
Right.
leave the clearly crazy split
Right.
personality, freak off the walls, fucking swivel-headed Shannon.
Right.
Leave her in the Dutch. Only madness lies that
Yes.
way. But no,
Yeah.
men like a dog after a rodent just drift off into the woods with their tongue lolling out,
Right.
following Shannon Whirry. And I would do too, Matt, and so would you. And
Yes.
who are we kidding to say that we would?
Right, exactly. But as you were talking about that serial killer B plot starts to bubble to the surface, and it slowly the A plot starts to run into it headlong,
Yes.
and the two collide at the end there. But yeah, I think when we were talking about like this is probably the better of the two that we chose.
Yes.
It hits all the great spots, and again, like you said, Worry's performance is fantastic.
Oh, and they are, I mean, Dark is film noiring it up to the max.
Yes,
In
yes,
Cassavetes'
yes.
office, I didn't
Yeah,
even see any like strip blinds, but like
yeah.
he just has permanent strip blind Maltese Falcon shadow across his head the whole fucking movie whenever he's in that office. There's saxophone aplenty. My goodness,
Yes. Oh
Matt,
God.
there is saxophone bouncing off the walls of this joint, which I'm
Yes.
very happy about.
Yeah.
We've got the aforementioned pink marble uh, uh, pillars and the neon green whatever it is
Yeah.
thing. It's all popping off. Everything is film noiring up to max. We've got a voiceover. We've
Yes.
got a kind of Mitchum-esque voiceover, which is splendid. And so the whole thing from the beginning, I'm in it, Matt,
Yeah.
because it's drawn me in with all its let's make a B movie film noir sex romp, and I'm here for it with both barrels. So it's the way Dark positions this movie in the first 10 minutes is absolutely perfect. And Cassavetes sitting dead-eyed, trying desperately to just be like, no, I don't feel any sexual attraction towards this woman at all, while
Right.
she writhes half naked all over my lap. And I'm just going to go home and eerily watch it, hoping my wife breaks it, finds me watching my own sessions where women are basically lap dancing me and riding my face. And I'm just eerily sat there staring off at a 1,000-yard stare with my slick back hair and everything. It was quite the performance. Matt, your take on Nick Cassavetes in this movie?
Cassavetes, I think again, I think there always has to be like that sort of that dupe or patsy kind of character in these movies,
Oh yeah.
and I think Cassavetes, he just brings this unique quality to it. Because you know, like I think we talked about like Scalia, for example. He's like this heartthrob kind of guy where it's like you could see him falling for Severance, but then like when he's like in the other movie, what was it, Illicit? Or something, I can't remember what it was.
Illicit behavior.
Illicit Behavior, where he's the security guard and he who I can't remember the
Oh
actor's
no,
name.
the illicit behavior was the one he was in
It was
with the
Severance.
Severance.
Yeah.
The one that he was that Basic Deception or
Yeah.
something like that, right?
Yeah. It's crazy that I can't think.
Scalia,
Yeah.
who is America's answer to Roger Moore. I will vamp while you look it up, sir.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're completely right. Cassavet, what I love about these movies, these erotic thrillers, is that is that the men are the dupes.
Right.
The
Yeah.
men are always the scuppered, right? But much like there is the final girl in otherwise fairly male-driven horror, there is the male dupe in
Right.
other words, fairly female-driven erotic thrillers.
Right.
Because even if it's men behind the camera, make no mistake, Shannon
Yeah.
Whirry, by the time she's done Animal Instincts 2 and 3 and whatever, wields way more power than Dark
Right.
does at that point. And a lot of these women have gone on post their film careers to have very strong businesses and to do stuff because they're intelligent and feisty and incredible people. But they've gone on to be successful in sort of many different walks of life, most of them
Yeah.
outside of just the movies. And so what I like about erotic thrillers is that it is, a female medium, and to some extent, as explored in We Kill for Love,
Yeah.
often a medium that women respond more to the fantasy in the films, because
Yeah.
most of these films explore sort of one or two kinks or fantasies or sort of role play that would be pretty typical in a relationship or pretty self-explanatory. And most of the movies explore them in one way or another, and most of them with a female eye. There's not many of these movies, although that it happens occasionally, where the woman is the submissive, unless she has chosen to be specifically that. And there are certainly even less examples of sexual assault in these films. Trigger word, I'm sorry, but sexual assault.
Yeah.
Because obviously most of these movies are designed to titillate, not to horrify. Once you get into the women in prison movies and the Henry Chow movies, Caged Hearts has some scenes in it which are not pleasant, but that's a sort of different subgenre of the erotic thriller. Now, is prison women in prison movie the subgenre of the erotic thriller, or is it side by side? Because they're
Yeah.
not. It's not a like the erotic thriller is not a subgenre of the women in prison movie.
Right.
But is the women in prison movie a subgenre of erotic thrillers or action films?
Boy, that's a good question because you've also got the erotic thriller kind of comes from the film noir.
Right.
And I don't know the the women in prison films have that noirish aspect to them.
They don't, but there were noir women in prison films.
Yes,
There
yeah.
were there were sort of jail block films made in the 30s and 40s that would fall
Yeah,
under
so
the film noir. But yeah, interesting. I don't know.
yeah.
Answers on a postcard to we don't have an address. Go fuck yourself. Stop writing postcards.
Yes. But at the very least, yeah,
Zero six one 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 one. Yeah.
yes, you're welcome to comment as well. You can comment on the Facebook
Yeah, it's
post or
comment
yes.
on the Facebook. Comment. We want your comments. Give us your comments. Yeah.
Now, the Scalia movie, it was Deadly Desire, and it was
Deadly
Catherine
Desire
Harold, and then Illicit Behavior was the other one that we covered. That was the
with
Joe Severance.
Severance
Now,
and Robert DeVee.
exactly, and to
Yes.
your point, because Catherine Harold, the thing I think that we didn't believe buy in that movie is that
Yeah.
Scalia's character is just going around as the security guard, hooking up with women all over the place.
All over the shop. Yeah.
Right. Why would he get obsessed with Catherine Harold?
Right.
And then you have this, at least in the other one in Dead Illicit Behavior, at least in that one, you could see where his character would fall for Joan Severance. And to your point
Right.
too about the issues of like sexual assault and abuse, right? We find out that she's manipulating the idea that even with us as the audience, we think that Scalia is an abusive husband
Right,
when he really isn't. She's just sort of setting it up that way to get Davi into her web.
right.
Um,
But the
but
women are always although the women are often the antagonist, they're also
yeah,
often the protagonist at the same time. They're
exactly.
often
Yeah,
sort of both because the technically Cassavetes would be the protagonist and Shannon Whirry would be the antagonist. But I'm with Worry every step of the way. I'm like, fuck with this dude. I don't trust this dude as far as I can throw him. You
no,
take him to the cleaners, Worry.
right.
I've no time for Cassavetes and his dead-eyed stare. He treats his wife abysmally.
Yes,
He does, doesn't spend any time with her at all. He's always either in the office being mauled at by women or watching videos of him being mauled by women while in a room full of pink marble, like he's some fucking, board member of the Caesar's Palace fucking
right.
board. Like, well, I don't even know what that building is or what any kind of therapist has any business having a pink house like that. Like, well, I mean, he basically lives inside a giant cock or a giant womb, basically. I mean, he's in a womb because it's all this sort of pink, kind of horrible late 80s decoration. But then there is a big thrusting marble pillar in the middle of the pink. So he basically lives in his own sacks. That's where he lives.
Exactly. It's very, yeah. I mean, it's the kind of place that would cameo on a Silk Stockings episode.
Hmm.
And, it's,
100%. Yes,
yeah,
it's silk stockings all over the joint. Yes.
yeah. But, Cassavetes, it is one of these things where you're watching him and you're like, okay, you've got a really hot wife and you've got all these women throwing themselves at you, right?
Yes.
And then you've got this woman who is obviously trouble.
Obviously insane. Obviously
Yeah,
off a fucking rocker, dude. You're not
yeah,
going near that at all. But they
right.
are the most attractive. Mad
Yes,
women are the most attractive.
yeah.
Why
At
is
least for
that?
him.
Men love to get themselves in trouble.
Yeah, especially Cassavetes, right? I guess maybe he thinks he can
Cassavetes is
control
just
them.
like, oh,
Yeah,
she's insane. Let me gravitate towards that. He throws every principle. Like the whole
yeah,
first 10 minutes of the movie, I'm like, this is gonna be a really boring movie because this guy
right.
has way too many principles. And then by the 11th minute, he's thrown every single principle
Yeah,
he's ever had his entire life out the
yeah.
window in the dumpster. He's urinated on those principles. And then run around naked going, fuck me, fuck me. Like that's Cassavetes goes from 0 to 100 in
Yeah.
like 1 minute of film.
It's amazing. I guess it's believable with Cat. I don't even know if it's necessarily believable. I don't know that it has to be, I guess, but it is one of those
Right.
things where like I'm watching the movie and I'm realizing I'm like, man, I'm like 45 minutes in
Yeah.
and I don't know where this thing is going. Because
No.
part of it is you kind of forget about the serial killer. You don't realize, that's part of the story. But you're like,
Right. But
what
you're
is
trying to assume because like in Separate Lives, and I think the
yeah,
problem and Separate Lives, by the way, is 3 years later than this.
yeah,
This predates Separate Lives. So this is the OG of this
right.
storyline. But uh um the serial killer plot and like the split personality plot and all of that kind of is coming together at a certain point, right?
Yeah, yeah,
In the movie, and you wonder, is Worry, a killer? Because I think is it in Separate Lives, isn't she like, I think I killed someone or whatever, and he's
right,
not
yeah,
sure, and he has to investigate. And there's that whole thing. It's like, well, can you? He, for example, Laura is the nice one, right? And Lana
yeah,
is the like evil one.
yeah,
He never sleeps with like Laura until much, 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 much later. Like Laura doesn't necessarily want much to do with him.
yeah,
And then Lana, like he's trying to treat Laura,
yeah.
which is mad because Laura is the far saner of the two personalities. He's doing all sorts of depraved sexual activity with the insane one of the split personality. But the same one of the split personality, he's like, I want nothing to do with you. In fact, let me try and let me try and treat you out
Yeah.
of being the sane one.
Yeah. Well, because then when he has sex with Lana after she shows his wife the footage of him having sex with Sandal Bergman,
Yeah.
right? He then the fiance leaves and Worry, Lana's like, we should just do it right now on this marble post here, right? Like we should just go for it. So they have sex, and then the next day she shows up
You
as
should slam me against your phallic symbol that you
exactly,
live in.
exactly. She shows up the next day as Laura, and she's like, "Yeah, you know, I think I might have been raped." And he's like, "Well, what do you mean?"
Oh yeah, it
And
gets
she,
super dark. It gets
right.
really dark for a
And
minute.
she's
Yeah.
like, "Well, I feel really sore down there," and I, you know, and he's like, you know, we see like these close-ups of him like gulping, you know, because he's like, "Well, how do I get out of this?" You know, and
Yeah.
he's like,
Right. But he doesn't play it like, oh shit. Like this is what he's a therapist, Matt, right? He's a therapist. And Shannon
yeah,
Whirry as Lana, the batshit crazy one, is so fucking attractive to him
right,
that he's just thrown it all out the window,
yeah,
right? And he instead of when she says, "I feel like I've been raped," instead of going, "Oh yeah, that's right. They're the same woman, and I'm a terrible fucking human being, and I'm
right,
taking advantage of someone with an actual like mental medical health condition, and
yeah,
it's basically tantamount to like having sex with a quadriplegic who can't move or whatever.
right,
Like it's tantamount to like the most disgusting abuse you could possibly imagine, because
right,
he's taking advantage of the woman. And instead of playing it like, oh shit, he plays it like, that's right, you're sore down there. Yes, that's right, because I'm Nick Cassavetes and I made you sore down there. Like it's sort of weird and creepy
yeah.
and awful.
Right, right, exactly. And you know, now maybe maybe we'll give away kind of the two twists in this movie.
Yes.
So the
We're gonna
one
have to. I mean, we're gonna
yeah,
have to in order to finish talking about it. Yeah.
yeah, well one of the twists is that Lana doesn't have split personalities.
No,
She invented the Laura personality to draw Cassavetes into her web, and he was such a schlub that he fell
such a
for it.
schlub.
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
King of the schlubs.
Right, exactly. And now
King of the boobs.
you've seen more of these dark ones than I have. I've only seen Stranger by Night, which also has a similar twist where the
A similar rube
psychosis,
in it.
right,
A
similar,
similar dupe.
right, but also has the psychosis isn't real.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, and so I don't know if that's something that Dark does in other movies where it's like whatever the psychosis is, the twist is it's not real. It's
I'm trying to think. Well, there's night rhythms where someone's crazy, but she's definitely crazy.
yeah, right,
It's not a like from the beginning you clock out. I mean, I guess in that movie, I knew she was crazy because I knew where the movie was going from the first 10 minutes, but the film doesn't think you know until probably about an hour in,
right.
and then she sort of becomes crazy. Um, so I suppose there's that kind of flip to it. But no, it's not quite the same as I have psychosis. Oh wait, no, I don't. But also by going, oh, I don't have psychosis, you go, but you do have psychosis because therefore that is psychotic. That is psychotic that would be your plot to ensnare and entrap and ruin this man
Yeah,
is that you would do double personalities and lead him on a merry dance. I mean,
yeah,
literally just show up, be Shannon Whirry, and take all his clothes off. Like then
yeah,
you've ruined him. Like just there, right there and then. This convoluted route that you've taken,
yeah.
pretending to be this and pretending to be that, that in itself is psychotic.
Right,
And
exactly.
therefore, by not having a psychosis, you have a psychosis.
Exactly. Now, the other twist is that she is the one coercing men to kill women. And we find this out through Don Swayze, who
Don Swayze.
Jon
Yeah.
Swayze. We're introduced to him at the beginning of the movie where he's like tying Worry to the bed, and you know
Yeah.
that's like a flashback that she's having to her other personality, and they're kind of searching for him the whole time. You know, he's their lead, and when Roundtree
And when
actually
you're searching for Don Swayze,
right,
intentionally
right,
searching for Don Swayze, no good can
no.
come from that.
No, because his agent is like sitting there waiting for the phone to ring. And it's like the moment it rings, he's like, oh, hello, you know. So it's like,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. But they when they find him, Swayze's like, I only killed one woman. I didn't kill five.
Right.
And Roundtree's like, what are you talking about? And then like Roundtree goes with this idea that is just these crazy concepts of like pleading insanity and what that means. And
Right.
this idea that, well, if you say you killed five instead of one, you'll get to plead insanity, which means you get a lighter sentence, which you know, that's not really how that works. You
Right.
probably spend more time in solitary in prison, but
Right.
Anyway, that's the idea. But then
Well,
we
because doesn't Cassavetes kill someone?
right. So what happens is that Cassavetes kills Worry,
Right.
um, and then Roundtree shows up, and after Worry's body's been found, Roundtree shows up, and Cassavetes confesses, and then Roundtree's like, "Hey, you helped me out in the past when I was down, so just drink some more whiskey, and we'll forget it ever happened."
Yeah, and we'll pin it on Don Swayze.
Exactly. What's another murder for Don Swayze,
Yeah,
right?
another one for the greasy black t-shirt wearing, worry shagging motherfucker. Yeah. Swayze, I forgot Swayze was in this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was great in the movie. He was ridiculous. But yeah, no, so it's serial killer by like basically the male orgasm makes you a serial killer because and it does in its own way, but because you if you don't procreate from ejaculating, you are technically killing thousands of would-be human beings. So every time you have sex as a man, technically you are a serial killer and the worst serial killer on the planet. Anyway, enough about spermatozoa. In in this movie, it is Shannon Whirry is twisting men's minds so much
Yeah.
that they are killing in exactly the same way, so that the police think that it's a serial killer killing all of them,
Yeah.
but actually it's individual men driven mad by the same woman's genitals to kill them in exactly the same way. It's a masterful plan, Matt.
Yeah.
It really is.
Right. Well,
It's a
because
diabolical, get out of jail free plan. That's incredible.
Well, and that's what Cassavetes tells Roundtree is he's like, I knew she would never be convicted of these murders because she would just be able to blame the men for it. So he's like, I had to kill her. And he's like,
Right.
okay, isn't it time to read me my rights? And he's like crying, and Roundtree gets another glass of whiskey and says, no, we're gonna forget it ever happened. And that's, roll credits.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
but also again, I just want to point out like this. This again is a really clever thing, right? It's a genuinely clever thing because what you've got where he drives men crazy with lust to the point where she will have them kill someone in exactly the same way each time, so the police think it's a serial killer, right? But to close the loop on it, a man who is driven crazy by Shannon Whirry's genitals murders her.
Right.
So it closes the sort of Ouroboros,
Right.
loop
Yeah.
of the movie because
Right.
she both wins and loses at the same time,
Hmm.
right? It's
Yeah.
like it's like in Seven, by discovering who the bad guy is, you will lose everything.
Yeah.
It all comes back around, right? So it's and I don't why is it like Seven? Why did I just pull that out? What do
Well,
I
because
mean?
he does the same because Kevin Spacey's character,
Right,
right?
Kevin
He
Spacey
he
both
gets
loses because
right.
he, in order to, yes, that's what I meant. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you, Matt. In order for him to become Wrath and
Yeah.
close the loop on the seven deadly sins, he has to kill Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
And in killing Kevin Spacey, he both beats Kevin Spacey and loses to Kevin Spacey.
Right.
And it's the same here. By killing Shannon Whirry, she both completes her, you know, her
Right.
crime spree, her magnum opus,
Yeah.
her artistic desires or whatever, by driving men crazy. But she also loses by dying. But
Yeah.
then he also loses because he now has to live with this for the rest of his life. And now he owes Richard Roundtree a huge stonking favor. Like
Right.
Roundtree can really come to him with some big shit. Like, I just murdered my wife and 18 of her friends, and we've got to find somewhere to hide the bodies quick. And if the police come asking, I'm going to give them your name. And the Cassavetes would have to be like, yep, nope, you're right. Yeah.
You're right. Yes, we gotta do this. Yeah, I'm happy to help. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's such a because it's one of the things that seems to happen with a lot of these erotic thrillers that we watch is that there's some kind of ending where people get away with it.
Right.
Like I was trying to think if Joan Severance got away with it when she kills um her blind husband in C. Thomas Howell. Like she got away with it, right? Oh no, we don't know she
No,
gets away with
because
it because
she
she was in the
gets in. No,
cab.
because she gets into the cab
That's right.
that's run by
It's the friend from jail.
right.
C.
The
Thomas
friend
Howell's
from
friend. Yeah,
jail who's
yeah,
trying
who
to get
wanted
the
the
money.
money.
So
That's right.
she both wins and loses. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think a lot of them, it does. There is like sort of a twist where, like, Shannon Tweed last week, right? The twist is she gets away with it, right? She escapes and she's there with the boy, with the young man, living
Right.
with him. I think, but yeah, and I guess to some extent, what's his face gets away with it, even though he wasn't really doing anything wrong. Mark
Who
Singer.
gets away with it? Sorry.
Mark Singer, kind of in Victim of Desire.
Oh, Victim of Desire. Yes, yes,
He
yes.
kind of gets away with it, but he wasn't really. He was doing something wrong, but he wasn't like the villains of that piece. So I guess
No,
it's a
he
little
was doing
different.
something wrong as
Yeah.
a law enforcement individual,
Right.
but he
Yeah.
wasn't doing anything wrong from a human.
Right. So yeah. So he's a yeah.
Yeah.
It is interesting though. Like and again, but I guess we're saying Nick Cassavetes got away with it as opposed to I mean, how many film noirs where the noir schlub, I guess you could call it, like
Right,
I mean, you think of, I mean, the biggest one is was it Postman Always Rings Twice, right? Where Fred
right,
McMurray is, you know, essentially reciting to Edward G. Robinson, and which I was based off a book as well. But that's usually what you expect, right? Is
right,
like the the hero or the lead is sort of and that's kind of what you would expect with this, right? Is that he's confessing to Roundtree and Roundtree's taking him away at the end, and
right,
he felt the fact that he gets away with it is kind of an interesting twist on what usually
right.
happens.
Well, there's also, and this happens in multiple dark movies, but very often the line between, uh, I don't know if you're a criminal or not, or I don't know if you're insane or not, or I don't know if you're a killer or not. And that makes the fact that we're about to have sex even hotter for me.
Right.
That is like a theme in Dark's movies,
Yeah.
where he will have someone who all evidence is saying this person is the killer, even though we,
Yeah.
the audience, know ultimately, of course, they're not the killer, because if all evidence points towards them, they're not
Right.
the killer. That's it's
You're right.
they're being framed. But in like if they don't know, if they're unsure, they're
Right.
definitely not the killer,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
Um, uh, why was I talking about that? They're definitely like the we have all these characters, not the killer. Oh, right. Not they're definitely not the killer. But the other person in the film doesn't know that. We, the
Right.
audience, know that. But the other person in the film, all the evidence they've seen is this guy kills and murders women, right? And they will have a sex scene. There will be like it happens in Night Rhythms.
Yeah.
It kind of happens in Stranger by Night.
Yeah.
The ones, I mean, they have two sex scenes, but the one actual full blown nude sex scene happens right after where like he basically says, "I'm the killer and I have an ear in my freezer," like,
Right.
and she's like, "Go have a shower, and then
Right.
after your shower, let's have lots of sex."
Right.
There's this sex, danger,
Yeah.
death, living. Cassavetes talks about, as I said earlier in the movie, like he feels more and more alive the more his world is like tossed upside down by
Right.
this insane presence. And there is a weird, it's the journey to rock bottom is more fun than the journey from base camp to the next one up.
Right.
Whatever it is, like progressing forward normally and positively is a lot less fun than crashing and burning into a sea of dead bodies and sacks. That's in terms of our imagination, our lizard brains kind of going, what is it we would do if we were allowed to just run amok? Dead bodies and sex. That's the highway we want to be riding on. So these movies give us a real taste of all of that and give us that wonderful sort of descent into hell kind of vibe over and over again.
Well, that and set to a, rollicking saxophone
Mm.
score. In
And no
these,
room is more suitable to
yeah,
saxophone than the fucking pink living room with the fucking
exactly.
cock pillar in the middle of it. The
Right.
marble veined cock pillar that is
Right.
in the middle of this movie. And
Right.
it's permanently in this movie, by the way. The
Yeah.
things are shot around it, things are shot against it. He
Yeah.
sat next to it at one point, the wife brushes past it in the midst of an argument. This pillar is is born for saxophone.
Right. Well,
Basically, as they put this pillar in place. The construction crew insisted on saxophone music as the pillar went up in place. There was like in the background, just some
Right.
wailing saxophonist.
Well, because there's something about that aesthetic of the 80s becoming the 90s that
Yes.
you get in that early 90s period between the clothes, the guys with like the double-breasted suits and the women with the skirts and the stocking tops and all of that. It's
Yeah.
like this whole look in that period. I don't think you could ever recreate these movies because if you recreated that look, it wouldn't be authentic. I don't think you can.
No, because I mean, listen, I don't know, dude. I'm not down with the kids anymore, but I don't know if they've all taken to garter belt stocking tops and
Right.
five-piece lingerie. I've no idea. I don't know. Maybe they are going full, Betty Davis with this. I've no idea. Maybe they've got petticoats have made a comeback. I've no idea, Matt. I don't know
God.
what the kids are into, but I'm going to assume, based on the fact that I haven't read any articles that say the rise of old-fashioned French garters and stockings have suddenly shot through the roof, and everyone should invest in, lycra and nylon or whatever. Uh, Considering I haven't read that article, Matt, I'm going to assume that women are not buying, eight-piece negligees and lingeries or whatever anymore. Maybe anyone who works in Victoria's Secret can tell me otherwise. Again, write it on a postcard and mail it to I'm still not interested. Jon Cross Towers, go fuck yourself and stop writing postcards. But
Well,
no, yeah, you know what I'm saying, though.
yes. Well, my wife and I saw this thing where uh, younger women were going from what they called the clean girl look to the mob wife look. And they were sort of like adopting this whole mob wife like thing where it's
What's
like,
mob wife? Are we talking like Lorraine Bracco kind of thing?
yeah, it's like furs and leather and big
Oh shit,
glasses.
really?
Yeah.
That's what young kids are dressed like? I
They
just
were
see them
doing
wandering around Walmart in their pajamas.
well,
I
I've
haven't
never
seen
right,
the
I've
young
never
kids.
seen that either, but it was like a TikTok trend where people were doing it. I would love to see like erotic thriller summer, right? Where like, we
Yeah.
would just, go for
Well,
the,
we just had Zendaya. Didn't she just do a threesome movie? I haven't seen it, but didn't
oh,
she
with
just do
Robert
a sexy
Pattinson.
tennis film?
Oh, she did, yeah, Challenger. I haven't seen it either, but I don't know if it's a
I've seen it. No,
threesome
no,
though. I
but I'm
think
just
it's
saying maybe she's trying to bring the erotic thriller back. Maybe
yep,
tennis and sex and threesomes. I
yeah,
mean, it's
because
basically Jack Scalia, really.
right, Jack Scalia, and I think guys are wearing shorter shorts now too, so you could do the Jack
Oh,
Scalia shorts.
is
But
that a thing? Is that the shorter
yeah,
shorts are making
I
a comeback? Matt, I think we got to go back on what you said earlier. I think they could make these movies now and people would just be as fascinated with them
yeah,
because we think of the 90s in this way because the only historical records we have of the 90s are these films. But I don't ever remember the 90s being this
no,
way.
the
I mean, I
only
didn't live in loose houses with
right,
big cock pillars and
right,
neon green Grecian fucking art pieces. I didn't do that, Matt. That
right,
wasn't me.
no.
But
The only part of these two movies that made any sense to me for the 90s that I grew up in is there was a Taurus wagon with wood paneling parked out in front of Nick Cassavetes.
right. Yeah, the
That was the
top.
old, it's like that was, my mom didn't have that one. She had like a purple Taurus wagon.
Right.
But the Taurus wagon, that one, and I don't remember if it was a Taurus, it might have been a Lincoln or Mercury wagon or whatever, but it was like
Yeah.
that. I saw that and I was like, okay, this makes sense. But
It
everything
is,
else,
it's super weird, isn't it?
yeah,
That there was a period of time where car manufacturers, because car manufacturers now, they call their cars stuff that's like,
yeah,
pizzazz and
right,
wow and
right,
bang
yeah,
and pish
exactly.
and whatever. It's always something that's super
Right.
sexy, super sharp, super
Yeah.
whatever. You know what I mean? The Chevy erection, the whatever it is, the Lincoln Testicontinental or whatever. Anyway, these cars nowadays are super sexy. It's weird that back in the day they were just like, should we call it a wagon? It's a bit of a wagon, isn't it? It's a bit of a wagon. It doesn't go very fast, and nobody's going to like this car. So, like, why would you call a car a wagon? All wagons give you the image of is sort of He's sort of farmers with weird beards and little clay pipes being beset upon by angry Native Americans wanting to cut their heads off. That's all that comes into my head with wagons. Either that, or of course, to retell history another way, the oppressive, terrible white man charging his wagon train through Native American lands. Either which way, I'm just saying it doesn't conjure up a good image. It conjures up people in wagons stealing people's land and getting arrows in the face because of it. Why am I driving a, whatever wagon? But it worked. And there was a period of time where that worked. And I kind of love that.
Yeah. Well, because what happened was the car manufacturers looked at it and said, "Oh, the minivan and the station wagon, millennials and Gen X, they don't like that they're going to that. So let's create these like SUVs that are like they call them crossovers, right? They call them crossovers, but they're like a cross between a sedan and an SUV, or a cross between a wagon and an SUV.
I think they call them mini SUVs.
Mini, yes, right, exactly. They guzzle tons of gas because they can get outside of any kind of emissions, or gas consumption, miles per gallon laws that we have for sedans, because SUVs are considered trucks. So it's like they can make these things and get outside of that. But then also people, don't be like, oh, look, I'm relegating myself to station wagon life now with me and my kids. I've got this crossover thing that's like,
Yeah, I mean, all cars these days look exactly the same.
They do,
All trucks look the same, and all cars look the same, and it is the most tedious and boring time to be alive.
Yes.
And the reason why the 90s were so fantastic, and the 80s and the 70s and the 60s and the 50s, and pretty much everything up until the new millennium, was because things were wild and different and weird. And every 5 years, someone went, has everyone worn pastel lately? No, they haven't worn pastel. Well, I think we should just do 3 summers of pastel. What do you mean? Yeah, I think we should take the next 3 summers and force everyone to just wear various baby colors, basically, like baby blue and baby pink and baby orange and baby yellow, just a whole slew of pastel. And we're going to get away with this. Oh, we're going to get away with this. Not only that, but people 30 years later will look back at it fondly and say, why is it that we don't wear Laura Ashley dresses and pastel anymore? Why can't we go back to that? But there was a time where we tried shit like that, Matt. What have we tried in the last 20 years? What have we tried? Nothing. Zip.
No.
Zilch. There's nothing. Nothing is interesting at all in the last 20 years. It all sucks.
Yeah, it's amazing when you look at like McDonald's. McDonald's in the 90s even. There were like different McDonald's everywhere. Now they're all these gray buildings with these arches.
Square,
they're square. It's like, and it's kind of a shame. It's like everybody's doing what I guess they call it millennial gray, is what they call it. But it's like everything is these muted colors. But really what it is that I guess it has to do with like resale values or
it's so that they can be repurposed.
Right.
My friend Matt Farley up in Massachusetts, Danvers, Mass, who writes 25,000 songs or whatever, has a song called "It Used to Be a Pizza Hut," which is all about. It was the guy who there was a blog. There was a guy who kept tons and tons of photos of buildings that were repurposed Pizza Huts, because you could always tell the shape of a Pizza Hut, and it was always funny to see like a dentist office or whatever go into a Pizza Hut.
Right.
And so there was a blog called "It Used to Be a Pizza Hut," and then that blog got big enough, and Matt Farley got big enough that the guy who owned the blog reached out to Matt Farley and said, "I would love a song about It Used to Be a Pizza Hut." Cut 2 or 3 years later, and Farley got to perform it on Jimmy Fallon's Tonight Show, because Fallon was a big fan of the blog "It Used to Be a Pizza Hut," wanted to do a song about it, found out there already was a song about it, and had Farley on the show. So this "Used to Be a Pizza Hut" gag went all the way through to the Roots playing Farley off, playing his own song "Used to Be a Pizza Hut." So that's how, but again, that is something beautiful born out of something terrible, which is, the death of the originally shaped, interesting, you could tell what they were from the highway buildings, that at least, although they are chintzy and American and capitalist and whatever, they were at least self-identified and had a brand and had a look and had a feel. And there was when you have something that's so definitive, you can extract nostalgia from it. If it's not definitive, if it's just rows and rows of rectangles or squares. What's there to be nostalgic about? There's nothing definitive to draw from. But even, as I said, the pastel years where, boys were forced to wear pastel lime green Bermuda shorts and like a pastel yellow t-shirt when they were on holiday so that everyone could go, oh, look, there's a white person. When there's a white person from either America, Ireland, or England.
Right, Canada.
Or
Yeah.
Canada, right? Yeah.
Right. Yes.
When we went through those pastel years, that's a very definitive memory. It can be a shocking memory, like, oh my God, I can't believe we did it. But then over time, that softens and it becomes wasn't it wonderful when for 3 summers we all wore pastel? Well, let's sing a song about it. But yeah, it's the only good to be drawn from the world we're living in, Matt, is insane art, like writing a song called "It Used to Be a Pizza Hut" based on a blog called "It Used to Be a Pizza Hut" that would end up being played by the world famous band The Roots on
Yeah.
Jimmy Fallon's Tonight Show. Listen, man, if that can happen, fucking anything can happen. Let's just keep going on this wagon train.
Yeah. It does. It evokes the image because I know my most recent novel, Mark and Sales, the main character takes one of his colleagues out to eat at a Chinese restaurant that it was in an old Pizza Hut.
Yeah, yeah.
And it kind of evokes an image. You already know what the roof sounds like. And then, I mentioned that, that the inside is roughly the same. And then they just hung some like Chinese lanterns to, make it look, but it doesn't take much, but it evokes the whole thing. Right.
Yeah.
It's like, I know Reddit has a subreddit for old Pizza Huts. So you can see,
Of course, subreddits. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course the subreddit does. So
Yeah.
there's a subreddit for everything, Matt.
Exactly, yes.
There's probably a subreddit for Nick Cassavetes, noir schlub.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes, right.
And if there isn't one, I'm starting one right now.
Yeah, create the Nick Cassavetes. Yeah. No.
Noir schlub
Yeah.
subreddit.
But you're right. Like it's like it would be interesting to see because with some of these other trends from the past, you see sort of how they're sort of being remade today. Like the soft rock music of the 70s and 80s is
Right.
now being packaged as yacht rock, and you've got kids that are trying to recreate that sound.
Well, it's also being sampled in hip hop and rap music and all
Right.
sorts of stuff.
Exactly.
Dance
Say,
music.
yeah. Say, but I've seen kids who are actually like recreating, like trying to put up their own yacht rock albums.
Right.
And
And also those reaction videos.
Yeah.
Like the first time you see Christopher Cross shred on guitar and you just see all
Right.
these kids watching Christopher Cross shred on guitar and they're all just like, like
Right,
running
right.
around the YouTube thing like Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone
Right.
and going, oh my God, I can't believe it. Or you've got like, there's some guys I follow on Instagram because I actually build music playlists off their recommendations where they'll literally play an unexpected, like much older song from like the
Yeah.
50s, 60s, 70s that you've heard, like you know it, but you
Yeah.
haven't heard it like this. And they'll go wild over it. They'll be like, just listen to this, and they'll get excited and passionate
Yeah.
and whatever. So yeah, I mean everything that's old is new again. I just don't know what's new right now. Like I don't know. It's not so bad for us now because we can draw on the 70s, 80s, 90s and just sort of splash around in that. And we all are. Every single person of our generation is right now, whether they have a podcast or not. But uh but I don't know in 20, 30 years, like what are the us's of then
Yeah.
for the 40 somethings of 30 years from now? What are they going to be looking back on? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. No, it's a
Remember,
good point.
remember when there were strip malls and not just rows and rows of Amazon servers and AI banks or whatever?
Right. Right. Exactly.
Do you remember when
Yeah.
there was? I mean, I suppose that's what it'll be. Is like
Yeah.
someone will be like, "Do you remember going into a Marshalls?" You know what I mean?
Right.
There'll
Right.
be a weird nostalgia about a shop that sells clothes that they couldn't sell anywhere else at half the price that they were trying to sell at the place where they were trying to sell. It's
Yeah.
basically knockoff clothing in a big white warehouse building with the most obvious nondescript font that just says Marshalls. It might as well be fucking Arial or fucking, Times New Roman or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And 20, 30 years from now, people are going to be like, do you remember I got that blouse at a Marshalls? And
Yeah.
that'll be the warm memory because
Yeah.
30 years from now, as we barely are able to go outside because of the thick toxic gases that we all are forced to breathe,
Right.
because of the horrible death of the planet due to AI banks and Amazon servers and Google servers and, all the fume that Elon Musk needs to send his cock rocket into space. So it's like, that's the world we're going to be living in. A strip mall with a nondescript McDonald's and a Marshalls or a Kohl's is going to be like some kind of warm delight.
Right, right. It's gonna be like, do you remember when there was a postal service that delivered things before, UPS and FedEx got on the board and ran them out of business, and suddenly, now we have to send everything, it's like, and UPS doesn't know how to get to anybody's house.
Yeah, 90% of us are not covered by whatever the most profitable routes are for
Right,
UPS to be followed.
exactly. Yeah. It's
The
crazy.
rest of us will have to trudge on our 0 minutes off that we get while we're working in the body farm or
Right,
whatever that we are,
right,
the body batteries or whatever we are. In the
right.
2 minutes that we have off, we've got to trudge 17 miles to the nearest mail delivery depot or whatever, mail depository depot that we have to find to put our mail in, and then we have to get back on the hamster wheel of doom
Right,
that we are
exactly.
forced to pedal that pumps, I don't know, exotic wines up to rich people in
Right.
gold troughs several
Exactly.
stories above us. Man, I
Yeah.
don't know, whatever, however we're going to live.
Yeah. No, it's a bleak future ahead of
It
us. It's
is.
yeah.
But where we will be, we will be nostalgic about when Burger King still served the original chicken sandwich.
Right,
You know
right,
what I mean?
right. When Burger King looked like a block of gray matter,
Yeah.
but we still could go in there, yeah. And half the time, like at least here in Philly, half the time it's open, half the time it's not. Like it goes through these,
Yeah.
and it's
Do you remember when there were Goodwills before Goodwills were outlawed because charitable acts are
right,
too effeminate for the the manosphere, whatever the fuck. That's what it'll be. It'll be like, wait, you
yeah,
gave something to charity? Oh, we're gonna lock you up and set fire to your testicles for that. Why? Well, the manosphere just thinks
right.
that it's
There's gotta
gay
be
to be giving shit to charity, and you're like,
there,
what?
there's gotta be younger men with baseball caps and no shirt on making
Yes.
TikTok videos going, if you give your clothes away to Goodwill, you're a fucking sucker. You're a loser. Like there has to be that. Like there,
Yeah.
right.
Why would why would we be providing secondhand clothing for poor people?
Right.
You know,
You're a loser. You
you're a
gotta
loser.
package
You're a
that stuff up and
disgusting
make money
maggot.
off it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But back in the 90s, Matt, the early
Yes.
90s to be precise, when men were men, when
Yes.
men were Nick Cassavetes, they were there to be duped and then personally wiped around the toilet bowl of the seventh circle of hell by Shannon Whirry in incredibly erotic lingerie. That's
Yeah.
what men were for, Matt. They were for cleaning out Shannon Whirry's toilet bowl of hell,
Yes.
and being duped every step of the way before Richard Roundtree comes in and goes, don't worry about
You
it.
killed her
Let's have a
fine.
couple of whiskeys and we'll all be fine. I
Exactly.
just don't, after being let down the whole movie. He doesn't
Yes.
come through for Roundtree once,
Right.
not once. In fact, he lets him down like 3 times.
Yeah.
First time he's meant to show up, he shows up late and says nothing of any use to
Yeah.
anybody. And Roundtree's like, what are we paying you for? He's like, I don't know why you're paying me. La-di-da.
Because there's some story that happened before we knew them,
Right,
where Roundtree accidentally killed somebody when he was on the force
right,
and wanted to kill himself, and
right.
Cassavetes talked him out of
Talked
it.
him out of it,
And
yes.
so he
Back when
says,
Cassavetes wasn't a
right, when he was,
wasn't a sleazy, perverted destroyer of the HIPAA, the HIPAA compliance.
right, right. Yeah, before Cassavetes was just like, I'm just having hot women as my clients, and I am going to watch them get aroused on my couch and then film it and then
Can you
act.
imagine the sanitization budget of
Oh,
his office?
oh, poor Helen, who finally quits, his secretary Helen, who is like such a nice woman, right? She
Such a
finally
nice
quits.
woman, and she finally quits because she's like, if I
Yeah.
have to wipe female ejaculate off this
Oh,
couch and one more time.
because Cassavetes, he was like, Helen, do you mind cleaning up the couch again? Yes, me and Sandel Bergman had we went at it for a little bit.
Me and Sandel Bergman deposited our fluids all over the thing.
Right.
Please kindly
Yeah.
wipe it from head to toe. and use a black light so that you're really thorough. She just turns on the black light, the entire couch is just white, and she's just like, oh, and it just cuts to her face. She's just sobbing,
Right.
inconsolable.
Writing her resignation letter
Yeah.
at that point. Because eventually she just hands him her resignation letter. She's
Yes.
like, and he's like, you're leaving me? It's
Well,
like,
this is the funny thing is that she thought of him as in such high regard. Like she
yeah,
held him, and you watch the first sort of two or three of his sessions as the movie begins,
yeah.
and I'm like, who would hold this guy
Right.
in
He's a
anything other
sleaze.
than a jail cell? Like, why? But she's just like, he's so honorable, and I'm like, honorable? He sits there and encourages, doesn't stop
Right.
for spurious psychological reasons. Does it? He goes, oh well, I couldn't stop them in the midst of their erotic journey. You're like, yes, you can, and you should.
Exactly. Right. Right. And then
I
like
couldn't
what
possibly stop them at that point. It's not sleepwalking. Like it's not like if you tell them to stop and go sit down that and put some clothes back on, that they're suddenly going to freak out and break all your neon pottery. This they're not about this isn't sleepwalking. This is just they're a bit horned up and they need to be calmed down a bit.
exactly. Yeah. Oh man, it's a trip.
I can't stop them in the midst of their erotic
No.
journey. I think you can, Cassavetes. You just don't want to, mate. And then his Helen is there looking at him with fucking hearts in her eyes.
Right,
Oh,
because she's
he's
not
so
watching the
honorable.
videos. She's not, she knows because he says he's taping them because
Right,
if he rejects their advances, they'll claim that he's sexually, that's the
right, right,
idea.
right.
And so that's why and she's just like, okay, I buy that. And it's like, really, you buy that?
Yeah. Oh, she's buying everything he's putting down. But
All right.
what's interesting is that Body of Influence, I think why it is so good is that it's by far, I think, probably the best Gregory Dark movie that I've seen out of the bunch, is that it's such a combination of the other ones.
Yeah.
And I don't know if every single one I'm going to mention necessarily came beforehand, but it just feels like Body of Influence feels like his greatest hits strung together. Do you know what I mean? So, for example, in Night Rhythms, there is a lead male character who is implausibly attractive to women, right? Every woman on the planet wants to bed him, and he gets embroiled in a, uh, twisty turny murder plot, being, chasing escaping from the police, just like Stranger by Night. Um, and every woman I come across, I will have sex with. Each of those will be more problematic as it goes along. There was just a lot. There was a lot of themes in Body of Influence that he plays out in Animal Instincts. The whole photographing thing and the whole videotaping of the sessions. Obviously plays a big part in Body of Influence and in Animal Instincts. So there's themes he's playing with. He's thematically Matthew exploring a variety of peccadillos and interests that he has, and why not? But I'm just saying, I think Body of Influence, to wrap this first hour and a half up in a bow, I definitely gets the highest marks of any of the Gregory Dark movies for me, and a large part of that is Shannon Whirry's off the chain, unhinged performance that I think is massively applause worthy.
No, I totally agree. I mean, I don't, so this one in Animal Instincts, I kind of have, but Animal Instincts, I think is kind of more of like uh, it's like a kind of a nice place in my heart kind of thing, I guess, as opposed
Yeah,
to,
Animal Instincts doesn't have the plot or the satisfying conclusion that Body of
yeah.
Influence does.
No, no, I totally agree. Yeah, and again, both of them are great worry
Right,
performances.
right, right. Oh, great.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's great in Animal Instincts as well. But Animal Instincts is a little bit more sort of rinse and repeat,
yeah, yeah,
because it's all in that bedroom. It's all
yeah,
worry and one other person who you're not
yeah,
interested in because it's not worry.
yeah,
And it's a bit rinse and repeat in terms of the overall thing. Also, there's a little bit of plot at the beginning, a little bit of plot at the end, but the
yeah.
middle is just sort of all the same thing.
Right. Yeah,
I
yeah,
think with Body of Influence, he's just managed to, while there is still a lot of sex, he's managed to weave in the film noir plotting and the through line, I just think a little bit more expertly than he does in Animal Instinct.
Yeah, no, no, I agree. I agree. Well, yeah, maybe we should take a break because it's
Yes.
cat feeding time for
All
me.
right.
So
Sounds good to
I'll
me,
feed
man.
the. My newest book, Mark in Sales, is available now. It follows Mark, who, over the last 10 years, has turned himself into the best possible salesperson he can be. And in that time, he's made his family rich selling cut rate health insurance to companies that are either looking to save a few bucks or don't know any better. The problem is, he's missed out on the lives of his wife and kids, and the employees of those companies he's sold insurance to now have to deal with higher medical bills and the loss of previously covered providers. As Mark comes to understand the reality of the product he's selling and the toll his long hours at work have taken on his relationship with his family, his company gives him the promotion he's always wanted. Can he now throw away everything he's worked so hard for to make a career change? Mark in Sales takes place in the same world as Chad in Accounting and explores what it means to be an adult in modern society, from family and career obligations to making sense of a changing world as time passes more quickly. You can get it on Amazon and Kindle, Kindle Unlimited, and in paperback. The link is in the podcast description. Yeah. Well, this is kind of circling back to a point that we were talking about earlier when, we're talking about like Don the Dragon Wilson, for example. Ty and I were looking at his IMDb, and I mean, when he does Blood Fist Blood Fist in 1989, he has like about an 8 or 9 year run from like 89 to 97, where pretty much every movie he does, it might not be like the most amazing thing ever, but like pretty much everything he does is entertaining in that one. Like there's not a dud in that stretch. And I don't think you could do. I don't know if you could do that with Chuck Norris. I don't think you could go like he's got some good ones like Invasion USA, but I don't know that you could go in there and be like, okay, his floor is as high as Wilson's floor was in that window.
No, and my point earlier was about Norris and Tweed being icons,
Right.
being icons. Why did I say it that way?
Right.
Norris and Tweed being icons
Like
in their own
you
in their
go like
own
icon and iconic. Or it's
yeah
icon and icon. Yeah. I don't, yeah.
iconic in their own genres or
Yeah.
whatever. But I find almost everyone else in that genre infinitely more interesting than either
Yeah.
Tweed or Norris. So, on one hand, it's the zeitgeist or moment or whatever the populace is enthralled by, and on the other hand, there's me being over here going, yes, but have you seen Wings Hauser films or whatever?
Right, exactly. Yes. But you gotta love Wings. You gotta, I mean, Wings is another one that you're just like, you know,
Forgotten by the Academy. Forgotten
yeah,
by the Academy. Fuck the Academy. Fuck the
yeah.
Oscars.
Which, I can understand. I don't know. Like, yeah, the Wings Hauser part of that, like, he's been in, I mean, I guess, I don't know if he's been in, I was trying to think if he's been in anything that was like, like AFI's top 100 or something. It's like he's been in some really good stuff, I
He's in
thought,
a
like in those.
Criterion movie
Right.
because they released Richard Pryor's JoJo Dancer or whatever it's
That's
called
right. That's right. Yeah.
on Criterion, and he's
Yeah.
in that. So he's in a Criterion disc movie.
Yeah.
And is the Insider AFI 100? Maybe not, but I mean it's adjacent, I guess.
Right. Because, yeah, I mean, that was another, I mean, I don't know. Yeah. It's hard, I guess, yeah, I mean, I guess some of the other ones, like looking at his four box that they've got Insider, then Vice Squad, Rubber, and Tough Guys Don't Dance. And so maybe he's not getting enough credit for Tough Guys Don't Dance. I don't know. I mean, I feel like that alone should get him,
Yeah, I
um,
mean he's Wings fucking Hauser. He's Wings
yeah,
living right, you know.
right. Exactly. Exactly. I, you know,
Let's. I just think that it was an abomination
yeah,
to miss him out, but that's okay.
yeah.
I didn't miss him out over at the PM Entertainment podcast,
No,
nor
no,
will
he
we
missed,
ever
yeah.
miss him out.
No, no.
Because again, complicated man in real life, but up on screen, boy is he entertaining.
Yeah.
Unlike Chuck Norris. So let us go on to talking about not very entertaining, which is a wonderful segue for the movie Stranger by Night, which
Right.
sadly, just
Yeah.
to go right ahead with the up front, put it on Front Street, as they say, I was not a huge fan of. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot of stuff to talk about, but I was not a
Yeah.
huge fan of it.
No, it's, I think Yeah, it's an interesting one because it felt like it could have been better, and it just I don't know.
Well, it's not enough of one thing. It's
Right.
not enough of an erotic thriller, and it's not enough of a cop action drama,
Right.
whatever, and it's not enough of a twisty turny plot. Like it sort of falls down on all the three things that you want from Dark. What
Yeah.
you want from Gregory Dark is you want, the noir ratcheted up to the rafters, right?
Right.
You want plenty of ridiculous sex scenes,
Yeah.
and you want the classic chump
Yeah.
in the middle of it, which you do get that. You do get the chump in the middle of it.
Yeah.
But you don't get the film noir, you don't get the eroticism. And if you're going to do a movie like this where you're going to be like, where it feels like someone came to him and went, you know what, Greg, we could make a lot more money if you did a movie with only one sex scene, but made it more like a kind of buddy cop action thing. And he went away and came up with Stranger by Night with Rick Philon and Daryl Haney, who are the two people who wrote it. Wonderful names, Rick Philon and Daryl Haney. They sound made up. Well, all names are made up. But anyway, uh, it feels to me like someone handcuffed Dark and was like, you can't do more than one nude scene, and you have to try and because he's not an action director, right? This is not Gregory. Like Gregory Dark's PM Entertainment is every 5 minutes someone's boobs fall out.
Right.
Gregory Dark's PM Entertainment is not every 5 minutes someone chases someone, beats someone up, has a car chase or whatever. And even though they've got the two stuntmen, Red Horton and Broadway
Joe
Joe
Murphy.
Murphy,
Yeah.
uh, I don't see like and while they try and make the most out of the sort of the clumsy set pieces, it's not the sort of PM Entertainment group or even the quality of even early PM Entertainment action in this. It's sort of pretty inept.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, PM would have done an erotic thriller with these two guys, with Red Horton and Broadway Joe Murphy. And they would have had more explosions, cars would have been flipping. You would have had like
Yeah,
there's a scene where Bauer he finds the ear in the glove box and
yeah.
while he's looking at it, he crashes his car into somebody driving by and then just speeds along, doesn't
He
stop.
clips the front of his Corvette.
Right. Yeah, it just smashes. And it's like
Got a
that's
giant red Dick compensator Corvette, and he just
right.
smashes the
Just
light out of the front of it.
exactly. PM would have done that as a flip. The car would have gone flying in the
Oh,
air.
dude,
Yeah.
that entire tunnel would have been
Right.
engulfed in flame, and there would have been a
Right.
city bus going sideways through
Right.
the fucking explosion,
Yeah.
while Stephen Bauer's car would have jumped the city bus with
Yeah.
a police car flipping behind him
Yeah.
while everything exploded.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
he still would have got out of the car and ran off, and it would have turned into a foot chase, which then would have turned into a gun shootout, which then would have turned into a sex scene.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing about this movie is that we get these really great names. I think this is what drew me into this movie. Maybe you want to watch this.
Yeah, yeah,
And we've got Michael Parks, for example, completely wasted. He's supposed to be the jerk lieutenant who's leaning on Bauer, but
yeah.
he kind of doesn't like what he needed to be. Is he needed to be the killer, right? We needed to find out
Right,
that he was the murderer. That's
right.
how you use Parks. But instead, and maybe I should do a quick synopsis, and maybe we should
Yeah, do a quick synopsis.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this movie, Stranger by Night, essentially Bauer is a police detective. His partner is William Katt, and
In a
they
series of outrageous outfits.
yes, he's fantastic. They're investigating a serial killer. They catch the serial killer, and but Michael
Serial killer who removes ears.
removes ears right when he kills women. The problem is that Michael Parks, trying to circumvent Bauer, has this guy sent to a mental institution instead of a prison. He escapes, and then another woman is killed, and they think this is the guy who did it. But then they discover, well, no, it couldn't have been him. And Bauer has been having blackouts, and he thinks, well, maybe I'm the one who killed them because I
Because it was the
let.
prostitute they find dead is the one that William Catt gave him the telephone number for the
Yeah,
night before. Because apparently Stephen Bauer can't go, even though he'd already had sex
right,
with his therapist earlier in the day, he
right,
cannot possibly go home
yeah,
alone at night.
right,
This man is such a man. He
right,
must conquer a woman
right.
every single night.
Yeah.
And if he does it, so even though he's back at home at like midnight and basically passes out, William Katt has given him a prostitute's telephone number. That's how these guys roll.
Right. So yeah. So what happens is that every woman that that he has sex with, that he blacks out and has sex with, ends up dead. And so now it's like, well, maybe. So he wonders if he's the one committing the murders. And the thing is, his dad killed his stepmom when he was growing up,
Yeah.
and he claimed to have blackouts. So he thinks he might be a victim of his blackouts as well. The psychiatrist that's working with him thinks, I don't know that you're blacking out and killing people, but maybe we can figure this out.
By having sex with each other twice.
Lots of sex, right? Exactly. I'm leaving parties with my boyfriend, played by Luca Bertovici. Is that Berkovici? I think is how you say
Yeah,
it.
I think his name is
Yeah, who
Luca Berkovici. Yeah.
right? Who just ends up in these movies? He just, for some reason he's playing Andy Dick in this movie. I don't know
Yeah,
what
I
that was
don't know
about.
why.
Right?
He looked like David Cronenberg in the Friday the 13th, Jason 10. He
Right.
looked like that if David Cronenberg also had John Lennon glasses and a ridiculous mustache.
Right.
If you can
Exactly.
imagine, yeah, if you can imagine like mid 90s Cronenberg with an
Yeah.
outrageous mustache and John Lennon specs, that's who
Right.
this Berkovici guy is. It's
Yeah.
insane.
No, exactly.
When I
So,
first met him, I'm like, oh, he's clearly the murderer. Like 100%
oh,
the murderer.
you
Oh,
thought
the
he was,
cuckolded husband of the
yeah.
therapist.
I didn't
100% the
see that
murderer.
one coming.
Oh yeah.
It was a Berkovici twist, as I called it, because
Yeah,
I,
the Berkovici twist.
I was thinking it was going to be Parks. Now, of course, they set it up
Well,
to
I thought
think,
it was going to be Katt for
right?
some of it. I
Right,
thought William Katt was going to be for some of it, but no,
yeah,
I ultimately thought it was either going to be Jennifer Rubin or if it was
yeah,
going to, or it was going to be Luca Berkovici. And the
yeah,
end of the movie goes, it's Jennifer Rubin. Not really.
yeah,
In fact, the movie goes, it's William Katt. Not really. It's Jennifer
right,
Rubin. Not really.
right,
It's Luca Berkovi. And you're
yeah,
like, this guy,
yeah.
Mister, we've seen him in one scene on the phone. Come
Right.
on now.
And then he stabs Cat. And then we get like this padding scene where
Yeah.
like Berkovici's in the mansion with Jennifer Rubin. He's like menacing her with a knife or whatever, while Stephen Bauer's taking his time as William Cat goes through this long drawn out death, which the
Yeah.
thing I loved about his long drawn out death is we just met his wife and daughter 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, William Cat. Oh, it's like you're giving us this plot development to tell us that he's going to be leaving behind a widow and a daughter.
Yeah.
Um, we're going to kill him off. Like, why couldn't he? And the thing is, in movies, you can survive knife wounds in movies all the
Yeah.
time.
All the time,
He,
especially where he got knifed, like in the shoulder.
right? And this, yeah, it's easy. Yes, he could. In real life, yes, you could bleed to death from something
Oh
like that.
wait, was he in the stomach or in the shoulder?
It was his stomach. I think he stuck him in the stomach.
Oh
And he
wait,
grabbed
I
him on the
mean
shoulder.
Tim Roth lost an entire movie from gunshots to the
Right.
stomach. So
Exactly. Exactly.
if
Yeah.
Tarantino's allowed to do it, I'm sure Dark could, have William Katt survive a little stab.
Right, exactly. So I think it just was like really dark. It was like, why did we even do that? Um,
Right.
but then, like you said, we're
Yeah.
getting
The biggest problem here is that the dupe is considered the hero.
right.
So
Yeah,
in Body of Influence, where we thought it really worked, ultimately, as an audience member, we are having much more fun with Worry than we are with Cassavetes.
yeah,
And Richard Roundtree gets to come in at the end and do what he does because he's Richard Roundtree and he could do anything because it's Richard Roundtree. We're able to circumvent Cassavetes' deep weirdness and slight wooden acting
yeah,
because we've got Worry and Roundtree and a bonkers plot and lots of sex and like stuff's just it's
yeah.
happening in Body of
Right.
Influence. It's just rolling along. In this one, it feels like the dark uh, ingredients are all out of whack.
Yeah,
You've reduced the sex basically down to one like sex scene and then one earlier scene that cuts before it's a sex scene.
yeah.
So you've reduced any of Dark's ability to be like, I don't know what happens next. Have him fuck the maid and we'll move on.
Right.
Uh, so we've avoided that. We don't have enough of a thriller plot to sustain the fact that we don't have sex. We don't have enough action to sustain the fact that we don't have much of a thriller plot. And lastly, it is the roles are reversed to some extent because where we can enjoy Worry, Bauer is very much the main protagonist in this movie, and the women in his world are to be shouted at, mistreated, slept with, ogled over, or asked for favors from. Like there's he's a terrible person. He is a terrible, terrible person, and I wish he really was the murderer. And the end of the movie was William Katt shooting him several times in the head. He's a terrible person. He treats all the women in this movie terribly. He has a hair trigger temper for things that are so pointless, it's ridiculous. It's called comical how quickly he'll lose his temper over something. And I mean lose his temper to like picking up furniture and throwing it about the place, losing his temper for no good reason whatsoever. He bullies almost everyone he comes in contact with. When he throws a criminal off a building without any due process and without even calling the the ambulance or whatever to come pick him up, or the mortuary to come pick up the coroner rather to come pick up his body. They just walk off and have drinks. And then later on in the police station, he's getting back pats and finger guns for just murdering someone without any due process. And so it just goes on. He's this terrible, terrible, terrible fucking person. And Jennifer Rubin is, instead of her being ultimately the clever one, she is she's duped as well. Like she's also a rube for her cuckolded husband. So it's just there's no these movies work so much better when there's a strong woman involved. Even if that woman turns out to be the crazy person who they have to kill at the end of the movie, it's still so much more fun and so much more interesting to watch a movie where a strong woman is involved, not an arrogant, swaggering, hair trigger tempered prick who goes around treating everyone in his life, like in a really bad way. So that was my problem with Stranger by Night, is it didn't hold up its Dark's usual end of the bargain.
Yeah. No, yeah, one movie that reminded me of that we covered before was Deceptions, the other Harry Hamlin movie.
Right, right, right.
It was a similar construct where Hamlin's a detective along
Right.
with Robert Davi, and then he falls in love with Nicola Sheridan, but then he thinks she's the killer, and then we find out that no, it's actually a guy in her acting troupe who's dressing like a woman that's committing
Right.
the murders.
It was actually a plot we stole from from
Dressed to
De
Kill.
Palma, from De Palma, yeah.
Yeah, drastic. Yeah. So it's like, but it kind of had that same vibe of like, Hamlin. I think Hamlin is a little bit more likable than Stephen Bauer's character
Yeah.
here. But it's still you're still kind of left with at the end like going like, okay, but I guess that's my twist. But I think to your point, it works
You just have
better.
to be very charming as a
Yeah,
guy in movies like this to carry the whole movie,
yeah.
especially if you're depriving Dark of his ability to go, "What's over there? Quick, show a woman's boobs," whatever.
Yes. Yeah. No, I agree. And I think the other thing, I think like young Stephen Bauer should work. And I think that's another piece of this movie is that
Oh, the flashback, you mean?
well, no, I'm saying I guess like, Stephen Bauer being younger, like,
Got it. Okay, sorry.
like Stephen Bauer as an actor in his 30s as opposed to now in his
Got it. Right, right, right.
70s.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I think that should also work. Like he's better as a younger actor. I mean, but he was a lot of fun in Breaking Bad as like this major drug kingpin in
right.
Mexico. And so it's like there's a swagger that he has that this movie doesn't give us any of it. It's like,
No, and I kind of feel like he's the Timu Michael Navari. You know what I mean?
yes,
Like because Michael, who's been in a bunch of, am I saying his
Michael
name right?
Nori,
Nori, that's it.
Nori,
Sorry.
yeah, yeah,
Michael Nori. He's yeah, like Stephen Bauer is sort of the Timu Michael Nori, and Michael Nori's in a bunch of PM films, and
right.
I just feel that if it's young Michael Nori in this role, I don't hate him quite as much. And look, that's not to say that like Dark, Phelan, and Haney, the director and two writers of the movie, don't give Bauer nothing to work with, because they really don't give him anything to work with. So
Right.
it's not all his fault. But I don't know if you come across as more dickish or idiot, he's Bauer is reminding me too much of a Carnivale. He's too
Oh,
much of a
kind of like,
Carnivale in
yes.
this. And I always
Yeah.
want to smack Carnivale. Now, normally Carnivale's in movies playing the character you're meant to want to smack. The
Right.
trouble here is Stephen Bauer is playing a character I'm meant to want to be, and I
Yeah.
don't want to be this guy. Nor do I want to be Katt and his outrageous series of silk suits that he
Yeah.
thinks that anyone is wearing in 1994. I mean, he looks like every scene he looks like he just stepped out of a Phil Collins music video.
Right, right, exactly. Which is crazy because he's wearing these outfits in. I mean, I guess because I don't. I guess Cat is supposed to. I think the two of them are playing their ages. So I think he is like. 'Cause I think he was born in 51. Cat. I think he's playing someone who's like 32, 33, and then Bauer I think was born in like 54, 55. So I think they're playing their ages somewhat, and you can kind of see him being stuck in the 80s, I guess, and still wearing these outfits.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I
yeah,
just don't know. It looks like he
right.
he looks well. See, this is a running thread in dark movies. So in the movie Undercover Heat, which sadly gets truncated to just undercover. Like when you buy it or when you look it up, it
Yeah.
comes up as just undercover. But its original title was Undercover Heat, which is a much better name than just
Right.
Undercover. At least make it Undercovers. You know what I mean? At least do
Right.
something a little clever. But Undercover Heat, which I thought was fantastic.
Yeah.
Um, but in that movie,
Yeah.
the same kind of through line that is in this film. Oh, dude, I keep losing my train of thought. It's because we're getting late.
Yeah.
What did I just say? I was just talking about the through line that was in this movie,
Yeah. Um,
and then I was comparing it to Undercover Heat because in Undercover Heat, uh,
yeah, and I had considered Undercover Heat as the second movie because it's got quite a cast as well. It's got Jeffrey D. Morgan, Meg Foster's in it, Mari Morrow, who I remember in what was it? Today You Die, Steven Seagal movie. So I was curious about some of these actors and seeing this happen here. But yeah, I think, I don't know. I think because the other one was on Tubi, that's why I kind of went with that one instead of this one.
so the linking, sorry, the linking darkism between Stranger by Night and Undercover Heat, Undercover Heat is, although actually you could be like Stranger by Night.
Right.
It works equally well. The two thing is ridiculous outfits. So
Yes.
in Undercover Heat, the lead woman, Athena Massey, whether she is the cop by day or the hooker by night, a sex worker in a
Escort.
brothel, escort,
Yeah. Yeah.
they may say they're escorts, but everyone knows exactly what's happening.
Right.
And in that movie, whether she's, dressed for sex or dressed for being a cop, it doesn't matter. Her outfits are ludicrous. At one point, the chief of police who she's reporting to, or maybe he's the lieutenant she's reporting to, I don't know. But the guy that she's reporting to, who keeps trying to get her off the case because he's like, "Are you just in there having lots of sex with men?" And she's like, "I'm going through something. I'm figuring something out." I loved Undercover Heat, by the way. It's really good.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm looking at some of the outfits. It's great.
but yes, at one point she goes, she says, "I'm going to go to requisition like some sex worker clothing from, I don't know, the costume department of the LAPD. I didn't know they had costumes that you could hire from the LAPD, but whatever. She's like, I'm going to go requisite a prostitute's uniform. And the lieutenant goes, "Yeah, you better come back here and show me what it looks like before you go out, whatever." Right? In a sleazy way, not in a like fatherly way, but in a
No,
sleazy way.
right.
Even though he is the best friend of her deceased father, he's still like, "You better come back here, young lady, and show me in the outfit."
Right,
So
right.
he's being all like that with his mustache and his early 90s mullet glistening, right? And but what's hilarious about it is even when she's dressed as a cop, she's literally wearing like Daisy Dukes and a shirt, like a button down, tied up around her breasts with
Right.
like with cleavage and everything. I'm like, what else? Like, what more would he be able to say? Unless you walked into into his office completely naked, what else would you be able to show him? And sure enough, Matt, I'm not kidding. She walks into his office wearing basically a bikini that's made out of
Oh,
see-through tight material, like netting or whatever. I don't know what
right. I think
nylon.
that there's a picture of it on IMDb, I
Yeah.
think.
So I'm like, oh wait. So when she said, when I said, what more could you possibly see? The answer was a lot more because
Right.
she's going to walk in to her supervisor's office at a police station dressed basically in nothing
Right.
except
Right.
some very, flimsy stocking material.
Yeah.
And Julie goes to work for Meg Foster, the crazy-eyed madam of this said brothel,
Right.
who, when she's in that, goes, "Take your clothes off." I'm like, she doesn't need to because she's not wearing any clothes.
Yeah.
That would be like basically what you're saying is that take your underwear off because there is possibly half an inch of you that I've not already seen. She's basically wearing a thong bathing suit, and Meg Foster's like, "You better take all your clothes off, otherwise I can't judge you." I'm like, she's not wearing any clothes.
Yeah, I've got to see this one.
But no, but Undercover Heat, she has a series of ridiculous outfits.
Yeah.
William Katt in Stranger by Night, a series of ridiculous outfits. That purple leather jacket, what the fuck was that all about? It
Yeah.
was almost as bad as the red,
The one,
shiny suit that he was wearing like a zoot suit at the beginning
right.
of the movie.
Yeah, it's insane. He goes out to get like hot dogs, which the thing was, I thought they were in New York, because it's like they're it's like remember we were joking about in was it was Riot, right? Where there was like the East Village Deli
Yes,
in
in LA,
in
yeah.
LA. Now we've got like the Broadway Cafe or something in
Yes.
LA. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and the apparently the best damn hot dog seller in the city. And I'm
Right.
like,
How does
I,
that
I thought he was just a homeless man pushing a cart. I
right?
didn't realize that was meant to be a hot dog vendor.
Yeah. Best hot dogs in the city and Bauer like won't
Best hot
eat the
dogs in
hot
the city,
dogs.
I severely doubt.
Right. And yeah, because isn't there a place called Pink's in LA? Pink's hot dogs is supposed to be like the best place.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's supposed to be like the thing. Yeah, it's like so there's like Pink's hot dogs restaurant. It's like when I type in Pink's, comes up right away in LA.
Okay.
Yeah,
So no, I think the biggest failing of Stranger by Night, though,
yeah,
by far,
yeah,
is sidelining Jennifer Rubin.
yes, yeah,
She should have been, if she was the center of some sort of worry-like lead,
yeah,
this would have been so much more entertaining.
yeah,
Centering it on Bauer is just such a mistake.
yeah,
It feels like a rookie error, even though this is a later dark film. So yeah, he underuses Michael Parks, and that's also a sin.
right,
Um, and what's even more tantalizing is in the IMDb description, the person who wrote it got it wrong,
yeah,
and he says that Stephen Bauer, his partner, is Michael Parks, and I would have loved that. Except
right,
Michael Parks seemingly does not want to be in this film. He barely
yeah,
opens his mouth, does not enunciate. You can't hear a damn thing he's saying, and he
right,
doesn't make any facial expressions. You don't know whether he's angry, sad, confused, but he lets Bauer get away with everything.
right, right, exactly. Now, one thing I should point out about Jennifer Rubin is that she is in the sequel to Deceptions. She's in Deceptions 2, Edge of Deception.
The one that I watched.
Did you see? I didn't. Have you seen? I didn't see that one. Yeah. So
No,
you've seen?
I watched it. We talk about it on that episode. I
Yeah. So
I
you've seen
talk
it,
about it, but it's the one with Mariel Hemingway.
right? Exactly. So she's in it. She plays Irene Stadler in that
Yeah,
movie.
she's only in the beginning of it. She's
Ah,
the
okay.
one
She's
that
not in it
gets
much.
killed.
Ah, okay, okay. So yeah, I was thinking that's an interesting connection. That she's
Yeah, no, Ruben's fantastic, and again should have been the center of this movie
yeah,
instead of Bauer. But yes, Deceptions 2, Edge of
Edge of
Deception.
Deception. Right?
Um, but I mean, sadly, apart from that, what else have we got? I'm just looking down here that might be well, she's in the Tales from the Crypt episode. She's in the Crush
Yeah,
movie. She is in The Doors.
yeah,
She is in Bad Dreams, which is a decent horror movie from '88, and she's in Nightmare on Elm Street 3: Dream Warriors, of course.
right.
Um,
Yeah,
But then since Deceptions 2, The Edge of Deception,
Right.
the only thing that I recognize weirdly is the terrible, terrible, terrible Pulp Fiction parody Plump Fiction, which she's apparently in. And trying to look at anything
I
else.
mean, I see like Fatal Conflict I recognize, but that's not like a big deal. You know, it's a
Right.
Kari war movie.
Falcon
Falcon.
Down with William
Yeah,
Shatner and Judd Nelson. That's not to be
right.
sniffed at. That's some
No.
rarefied air that she's breathing right there. Nelson
Right.
on one side and Shatner on the other. Come on now. Who doesn't want that? But apart from that, sadly, I would have loved to have seen that she had had this incredible career. Um, not so much, sadly. But oh, she is
No.
in Screamers with the aforementioned Peter Weller.
Yeah, I think the only movie she's done that I've reviewed on the site, eventually I'll probably review this one as well, but Transmorphers, Fall of Man. She was in that one, which I believe I reviewed that one on the site. So I think I did all the both of the Transmorphers movies. Yes, there it is. I'm the second to review, direct to video connoisseur is yeah. But I'm not the only one out of us that reviewed that. Mitch, Video Vacuum, he also reviewed it, so I can't say I was the only one that did Transmorphers Fall of Man, but I don't remember her in that one. I remember Bruce Boxleitner was in that, but I guess she was the secondary character. She was like kind of there with Bruce Boxleitner trying to save the day from these Transmorphers.
So she did make a documentary sort of movie, indie movie called Them Public Romantics. I don't know if it's a documentary or whether she just plays a documentarian in it, but she did make a movie that's about an hour and 53 minutes long, apparently. And it gets 8.6 out of 10 on IMDb, but only five people have rated it. So that could just be the people in the movie.
Right.
Three of them gave it 10 out of
Oh,
10.
it's
So
on
they,
Fossum.
what, them public romantics?
It's available on Fossum to view. Yeah.
Wow.
It's so she's a director and star, and that's it. Um,
And producer, I think.
yeah, that nobody else is listed in the movie.
Yeah, and it's almost 2 hours long.
Yeah.
It's an unflinching, uncompromising view of life and love in the shadow of the City of Angels. Filmmaker Jennifer Rubin presents an up-close and personal look at the day-to-day lives of several people living in a square block of Los Angeles. Then Public Romantics offers a viewing experience that ranges from curiosity, heartbreak, shock, and even humor. Even humor, Matt.
Even.
Even. Even humor. Uh, curiosity, heartbreak, and shock. That's to be expected. You
Right.
expect curiosity, heartbreak, and shock, Matt. If you're not going in to them public romantics expecting curiosity, heartbreak, and shock, not the movie for you. But on top of all those things, it even has humor, Matt.
Even
Even.
humor.
Can you
Even
believe
humor.
it?
Yes.
Rubens' eye for capturing the life moments of the film's principals not only presents their daily goings on, including their struggles, but it ultimately speaks their truth.
Okay.
That's from one of the 10, that's one of the three 10 out of 10 reviews that this movie gets.
Yeah, I guess you gotta have those 10 out of 10s.
Yeah,
Um,
well, only five people have watched it. So maybe you and I will be the sixth and the seventh, Matt. But no,
yes.
look, Jennifer Rubin, I would have centered the whole movie around her.
Yeah.
I would have got rid of the insane Berkovovi or whatever his name was.
Oh, Bergovici, I think. Bergovici.
Berkovici. I would have got rid of
Bergovici.
him. And I would have got rid of Bauer and I would have hired Michael Nouri instead.
Yeah. Or Chris Sarandon might have done
Right,
okay.
Sarandon. Get
Yeah.
Sarandon in there. Right, he's
Yeah.
got a Bauer-esque quality. Or rather, Bauer has a Sarandon-esque quality.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so yeah, it was just, it was an odd mix because
Yeah.
it's not that I hated everything in Stranger by Night. If I wanted action, I'd go somewhere else. If I
Yeah.
wanted sex, I'd watch a different Gregory Dark movie. If I wanted a strong female lead, I would go to a different movie. And if I wanted outrageous outfits, sure, Katt is bringing his A game where outrageous silken outfits are concerned. But, he's only in, what, an eighth of the movie?
Yeah. Well, isn't there a scene where he shows up in like he meets Bauer at the bar and he shows up with like a trilby hat on or something like
Yeah, he
that?
does. Yeah, he shows up
Yeah.
with a trilby hat and it doesn't fit on his large yellow fro. It's just perched the top. In fact, once he sits down, you see it go across Katz's face. I'm not doing this whole fucking scene in this hat. And he like takes the hat off and puts it on the table because you can just see it on his face that
Yeah.
he's been made to wear the hat. Because
Right.
I actually see him like Katt sitting in his trailer and Dark coming in with like the costumer and Dark like giggling manically while he dresses Katt up in a series of ridiculous outfits. And Katt looks down up and down at himself in the mirror, going, "Really, Greg, you want me to wear
Yeah.
this in the next scene?"
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Dark's just like, "Yes, go on, go on. Wear the red velvet suit in the next scene." But
Right.
aren't I meant to be like a detective? Yeah, I know, but just wear the
He's like just he's like if only Greatest American Hero had just lasted a few more seasons, I wouldn't have been able, I wouldn't have had to do these movies, you know. It's
Right,
like
right, right. Yeah. I would have
it's
been carefully ensconced somewhere in Malibu, not having
right.
to touch Stranger
Exactly.
by Night with a barge pole.
Right. And it is kind of funny to think about with some of these actors. Like it's really like that difference, you know, I mean, again, we talk about this with Belushi, right? That where you know, what did according to Jim went on for like what, 10 years, I think, something like
Eight
that.
years.
8 years. Yeah, and so that's it. He's like firmly in there. Yeah, I
Yeah, he's
mean,
been able to have a pop farm and tour with the Blues Brothers and Dan Aykroyd. Like he can just whatever whim Belushi. You know, he's in
right.
a Kristen Stewart movie. He's just like, yeah, 1 minute I'm doing a Kristen Stewart movie, and now he's doing
Yeah.
an A&E TV show about real life canines in the
Right.
police force, but
Right.
which is basically just cobbled together, vest footage,
Yeah.
or what do they call it? The body cam stuff.
Yeah.
It's just cobbled together where occasionally Belushi's large looming face comes in and goes, "Canines are the hardest working police, whatever," and then it just cuts back to more kind of grainy camera footage, and A&E is just like, "All right, Belushi, have another $1 million."
Right. Where it's like William Katt, it's like Greatest American Hero, look, it's like 3 seasons it lasted.
Right.
It's like another couple seasons, maybe it can get into
And
rerun
all people
syndication.
remember is the theme song.
Right, exactly. That's it. That's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's and he's doing these movies. You know,
Yeah.
he's stuck with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, what else did Cat do around this time? What was Cat?
I know he did
Why
White Ghost. I don't remember when that one was.
what was White Ghost?
White Ghost was he played this Vietnam vet who
Okay.
hid out in Vietnam. Actually, Reb Brown is the one who like brings the CIA to come and try to find him. I think it's like yeah. So he just like takes everybody out.
He's still in stuff. He was in Pursuit with John Cusack back in
Yes, that's right.
2022.
We covered that on our Cusack on the Skids episode. That's right. He's
And
a very small part.
he's in a movie called When We Get There with uh wait, it says this. Why does IMDb do this sometimes where they put people who are not the stars up
Right.
front? It's Alfred Molina and William Katt,
Yeah.
basically. And if I tell you it's called When We Get There, and the front cover has Alfred Molina doing the kind of like whoa, everyone's a bit crazy around here kind of look. I
Right.
don't think it's a movie I want to see. It has two directors, two writers.
Right.
Well, they're two writer directors actually. It's just IMDb's put them the other way around. So it's
Right.
Justin Giddings and Ryan Patrick Welsh are the directors, but the writers are Ryan Patrick Welsh and Justin Giddings.
Yeah. It is kind of crazy. Yeah, I mean, like we can see Molina here, but yeah, you're right. Like it's like a lot of times these people that make these movies, they don't they don't they whoever does their IMDb for them doesn't list them.
But
Um
what is Melina doing in a movie that only has 20 ratings on IMDb? What is
yeah.
Melina doing in a movie that only has 20 ratings?
Yeah.
I mean, what's William Katt for that matter? But I mean, at least that makes more sense than. But no,
Right.
he's been doing sort of maybe one or two things a year, either TV episodes or straight to video B movies, action, thrillers, horrors, that kind of thing. Um, I'm just trying to look down the last time he did anything. The last time he was sort of in anything was probably James Gunn's Super, which
Oh,
was
right.
2010.
Yeah.
Outside of TV episodes like Supergirl or whatever.
Supergirl, right? So he did some, yeah.
Um, Oh, and he's in Paranormal Movie, the spoof of Paranormal Activity or whatever.
Yeah.
But
I
I would
realize
say
I
Super and Numbers probably are the two.
Yeah, I was gonna say I realized I've seen two of his last three movies because I've seen Pursuit and then Overrun is another one that Ty and I covered on a podcast episode. So when we get there, I guess we got to do when we get there now because I gotta keep up to date with the William Katt.
With William Katt, yeah. But no, weird. It's just weird to have him in this movie, and weird to have him wearing the clothes that he's wearing.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just odd.
right.
Um,
It's well because it does kind of go to this thing about oh, for some reason I there we go. I lost us on Zoom there. No, for some reason, these erotic thrillers, I think part of it is this idea of how do we sell it um, to Blockbuster and to
right. Like
HBO and
what names can
everything.
we put on the front? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess Stephen Bauer gets you so far because I mean, you always see the cover now, it's Bauer and Rubin, but at the time they must have thought, well, we need Katt. We need one more name to kind of really sell this thing.
Right. And back in the early 90s, Katt was being a bit of a regular Eric Roberts and was
Right.
sort of in anything and everything in the
Yeah.
best possible way. He does in 94, he does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 credits
Yeah.
in 1994. I mean, some are voiceovers for animated series, some are things like Cyborg 3, The Recycler,
Right.
episodes of Murder She Wrote and uh, Diagnosis Murder, and things like that. And then Stranger by Night and The Paperboy.
Oh, the Paperboy. So the thing I haven't reviewed that one on the site. I've been meaning to, but the thing my friends and I watched that one. And the thing we remember was that so the Paperboy would kill people in different ways, and one of them he
A
killed an old
homicidal 12-year-old paperboy becomes obsessed with a woman and her daughter next door, and he'll do anything to make his fantasy of the perfect family come alive.
yeah, and he kills an old lady by wrapping her face in saran wrap, and my friends and I just thought that was the funniest thing ever. We were just he like smothers her with saran wrap, if I remember right. I guess it's been since high school that I've seen it, so it's been like 30 years now, which is ridiculous to think, but. Yeah, I was
Oh,
one
and
that
it has Alexandra Paul in it.
yes, right. She's the mom.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
Kat is the dad.
yeah,
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah. It's a trip. I mean, the Paperboy. He's just like, he's
Yeah,
just.
I gotta see that movie.
It's one of those deals where he's just like going around, just sort of killing people, sort of bumping them off, but. But there's like an old lady, like she's sitting in a rocking chair, and if I remember right, she's just sitting in a rocking chair, and the next thing you know, like the saran wrap comes from behind her and just completely he just smothers her with a saran wrap.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can imagine that.
Yeah.
In fact, I may have even seen a clip of it. Is she like
Yeah.
rocking and then like this?
Right. Yes. As far as if I remember right, yeah. It's the only thing I remember about that movie, other than the fact that Alexandra Paul was in it.
Right, right,
I
right.
don't remember William Katt being in it, to be honest. I was like, it's like,
He's not that memorable, not even in this.
right, right,
And he's one of only three people who I knew in the whole film.
right.
But yeah, I don't know if Stranger by Night is even one I would recommend. I mean, I don't know. It has its moments. It does have its moments. It's not
Yeah.
completely without its charms, but in general, it's I would just go watch Body of Influence instead.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, there's other darks out there. Obviously, Animal Instinct as well is another one that is going to do the
Yeah,
trick
Animal
better.
Instinct's pretty
Yeah.
good. Undercover Heat is great.
Yeah, I got to see that one.
Night Rhythms. Night Rhythms it has to be seen to be believed because Night Rhythms, Martin Hewitt, who
Oh,
is not
yes.
particularly the most charismatic, or I mean, he is the Stephen Bauer of Night Rhythms. Martin
Right.
Hewitt plays
Yeah.
plays a disc jockey, a radio personality who has phone sex with women on his show live
Right.
until one comes into the studio and has sex with him on air.
Right.
Everyone just listens to him. At the end of the sex, she appears to be killed. So it goes from her moaning to her like screaming and strangling. We then cut back to radio studio because we've cut to all these other people like listening to it, being shocked. Right, comes back to the studio. He's lying on the floor. She's lying on the floor. He wakes up. She's dead. He's not. He doesn't know what's gone on. He's on the run. And while he's on the run, and there is no exaggeration here, Matt, he probably sleeps with 10 women in
Right.
the course of a 24-hour period, two of them at the same time. So there's a threesome scene in this movie. But there's one bit where like a neighbor comes round to ask if the person's house that he's staying in, if she's around, and can she borrow some sugar or something? And the next thing, she's literally like, "Oh my God, you're attractive," and then they're having sex everywhere. He has, he like, there's no way he has the spermicidal fortitude to hold up that. He must be so ragged and and sore and empty by the fifth one, let alone by
Yeah.
the time that he's having sex with a woman who at the beginning of the movie you were like, oh, they're so gonna have sex by the time the movie's over. Sure enough, by the time he gets to her, which is like number 10 or 11 or 12 or whatever. By the way, she's perfectly in love with him, even though in the last 24 hours his wick has been dipped more times than an auto shop oil tester. You know what I mean? Uh,
Right.
it's an insane film, but
Yeah.
because and Martin Hewitt is not particularly entertaining, but you have Sam Jones who occasionally shows up and growls his way through an angry cop role, and you
Right.
have David Carradine for about 30 seconds, which is
Yeah.
quite entertaining.
Yeah.
Uh, but apart, he doesn't wear the giant hat that he wears at the end of Animal Instincts when he shows up like an end of the pier Victorian um, magician, where he's got
Right.
this giant like.
Right.
Either that, he looks like Oscar Wilde is about to go and do a poetry reading in a tea room. Like he's got this enormous brimmed trilby velvet hat, and that he walks in and he's like, "Hello there," and I'm like, "Are you Dracula? What's going on?"
That's awesome. Yeah, that
That's
was
at
such
the
a
end of
great one.
Animal Instincts, but no,
Right. That was, yeah.
in Night Murmurs or Night whatever
Night
Terrors or
rhythms.
Night Rhythms.
Right there.
Yeah, it's a weird barrage. Like Undercover Heat and Night Rhythm, if you watch them back to back, you'll be like, all right, I've had enough of Gregory Dark sex scenes to last a month or two. But just because the whole movie's a variety of sex scenes. But Undercover Heat is considerably funnier than
Yeah.
Night Rhythms. I would suggest Undercover Heat over Night Rhythms. It's my
Yeah.
second favorite Dark film next to Body of Influence.
Yeah.
Whereas Night Rhythms is probably third or fourth. But still definitely worth a watch just because it's so fucking bizarre that he lives in a world where whether he goes to a bar, an apartment, his office, or is walking along the street, every single woman he meets,
Yeah.
he will be in bed with in the next 30 seconds. And I wouldn't mind, but he doesn't change his clothes the whole time. He must stink. He must absolutely stink. And he doesn't shower. He doesn't like it's just
Yeah.
he must be so ragged by the end.
Oh man, yeah, yeah. I definitely gotta get back, get because these are all available on
Yeah, I've
streamers.
watched them
So
all very easily. Yeah,
yeah, so they're definitely available for people to pick up.
yeah,
So yeah, like to your point, Body of Influence. I think and again, that one's on Zumo, I guess, or whatever. Uh,
yeah.
it's so the best way to
You
find
have to
that.
scroll through that. You have to, yeah.
Yeah, or if you look it up on, if you're watching it from your computer, if you look it up on Letterboxd, you can.
Yeah,
Um,
why doesn't Zumo have a search feature?
I
That's
had a
fucking weird.
the weirdest thing ever. Yeah, these streamers, they all have their own weird things that like Pluto. You go on Pluto, and it's just they want you to watch the live stuff, and it's like, can I
Right.
just watch a movie? And it's like it's all you can't like get to the movie without having to listen to whatever the live channels are.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. Now they
yeah,
all have their own like little gizmo, but like you can just see Zumo, the executives at Zumo, right?
right.
Presumably they are executives, although I imagine them more in a sort of dingy. Oh, I imagine the executive. You remember the scene in 8 millimeter
Yeah, yes,
where he calls up Nick Cage is in a built room across the way, in a building across the way, and he's keeping an eye on the two lower level pornographers who have this like dingy office in a rundown warehouse district in LA. and he's basically seeing girls come in all the time, and he sat behind the desk. I imagine the boardroom of Zumo to be in a similar kind of rundown building, right? And all the executives, and I say that in inverted commas, look like the cast of Sopranos, except they've all got mustard on a shirt they haven't changed in like 4 days, right? They've all got routinely greasy mullet hair, brown leather jackets. They've got the stubble. They're played by real scumbags in the movie, right? And a guy comes in, like a nerdy guy with a laptop, who's trying to explain to them, like setting Zumo up. And he's like, so we have these templates you can have. We have this, blah, 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 whatever. And then we have these bespoke items, like a search feature and a watch list and a login and whatever. And the guy's like, wait, 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 wait. What's all this extra money down here on the sheet? Oh, well, like this is like search function is an extra 20 grand and blah blah blah. We don't need that. Get rid of that. Well, how are people going to find movies? I don't care. Get rid of that. And then the next one is like, well, they're going to have a login so they can have a watch list. I don't care who these people are. I don't care what the watch list is. I'm just making money off these ads for drugs that we're going to be forcing Americans. I don't care. This is just an illegal operation. I don't fill this up with whatever crap you find on the internet. Get some Gregory Dark movies and a few other bits and bobs. And basically they bought like a low rent list of movies, and they decided not to do the search feature or the watch list feature because it was too much money for them. And they were like, well, I don't know, put an X in it and an O on the end. What do we got? We got Hulu, we got Pluto, we got Zumo with a Z. Sir? No, 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 not with a Z. What's classy? Oh, X. Do it with an X. And that's how they came up with Zumo. And you got to respect them for it, because I've already given them 2 movies worth of ad revenue.
Yeah, we've covered that this guy who does like kind of his own vanity movies, Alexander Nevsky,
Yes,
which they,
The Nevska.
the
Yeah.
Nevsky, yeah, his movies are now going straight to Zumo. He's
Oh,
like,
of course they are.
yeah, he's
Yeah,
going to deal with
Nevsky's
that.
all over Zumo. It's a
Yeah,
Russian front for, like, it's either a Russian or a Chinese front for something, is Zumo.
right.
But it's
Yeah,
run out of a warehouse building by a bunch of mafioso types, but like
right.
real low level, like
Yeah,
scumbag level mafioso types. Not the big
yeah,
guys, but the
right.
guys who trade in like sweaty handfuls of dirty ones and fives. Yeah.
Right, right. They get these sandwiches in like greasy brown paper bags that are yeah, just yeah. They bring the sandwiches out and he's like,
Everything has mustard on it.
right,
Everything.
exactly. Yes,
Or
yeah.
like blobs of like Thousand Island dressing or something.
Right, right, exactly.
Yeah. There's an abnormal amount of tzatziki sauce in the fridge. Tzatziki abounds in this environment because they're either Italian or Greek. And so they're just like, well, we'll just put tzatziki on everything.
Right.
Yeah, everything like they'll eat like their sandwiches will be in like a greasy street pita bread that they found, wrapped in brown paper, and it'll just have wads of brown lettuce and dried up tomatoes and Island dressing and whatever. They're just like little shawarma kind of greasy, and they're just
Yeah.
eating it, and they're eating the paper while they're eating. Like the paper's still wrapped
Right.
around it. They're just
Yes. The whole room just smells like old cooked onions, right? Just like,
the whole room just smells of dried up tzatziki sauce
right.
and sweat. And this poor IT guy comes in and is like, I've really got to show these guys how to work Zumo. Like, what are
Yeah.
these other numbers? Yeah, we don't need a search function.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Well, and the thing is that every other time he does this, he pushes the search function. He's like, no, no, you guys, you need the search function. But
Yeah.
with these guys, he's just like, fine, yeah, whatever gets me out of there sooner.
Right. Yeah. Every other, yes, when he goes to Tubi and Pluto and Foursome and Roku and all these other
Right,
there's so many of them. Roku has 500 channels
right,
of free ad supported
right,
B movie madness. By the way, they all show exactly the same 10 movies. It's not like any of those channels have hidden gems on them. And they have so many ads that the movie is 3 hours long when it's an hour and 30 minutes. In fact, it took me 2.5 hours to watch what did I watch last? Animal Instincts. because
Yeah.
it's already an hour 40 or whatever as a movie, hour
Yeah.
35, I think. But there was at least 34, 40 minutes of adverts in
Yeah.
the movie. Each ad break was like 3 to 4 minutes long, and there
Yeah.
was like 20 of them.
Yeah, it's one of the things with Tubi that I found out from this director Jay Horton, who talks about the kind of the industry. He said that with Tubi, if your movie has been there for a while and it's not doing well, that they actually take ads away because they put more ads on the priority movies. Like for example, Stranger by Night, I think is a newer movie or newer to their catalog. They had commercials sooner. Whereas if Stranger by Night doesn't do well, so and obviously we're not really giving it a great recommendation here, but you
Right.
know,
People are not going to be rushing to Tubi after our
right,
review, going, I've got to watch Bauer,
right,
and unless you're a fan of really hairy asses, don't
right.
watch Stranger by Night. Because in
But
a world of Jennifer Rubens, why am I looking at Stephen Bauer's hairy ass?
it's right. We
Can
could,
anyone explain that?
no,
And why is Wally Pfister lighting it?
right. No, this is
We haven't
Gregory
talked about
Dark.
Pfister. We should have talked about Pfister.
Pfister's cinematography in Stranger by Night.
Wally
Yeah,
Pfister went from working with Gregory Dark to working with Christopher Nolan for the first half of Christopher Nolan's career. He then made the movie Transcendence with Johnny Depp
yeah,
because he didn't want to be a cinematographer anymore. He wanted to be a director. That movie so bombed that it took down Wally Pfister. And he is now, I mean, look, he's not sweating for cash. He's making Nike ads and iPhone ads and various other things. He directs a lot of commercials. But that's Wally Pfister we're talking about. He shot several Gregory Dark movies. He shot all of Christopher Nolan's like first slew of movies up until I think Inception. I don't think he films Inception. Does he do Inception and then leaves, or is Inception the new one, the new DP that he's been using?
it might have been. Yeah,
I think the last one he does is the third Batman, I think.
that makes sense. Yeah,
But yeah, Pfister's career sunk by Johnny Depp's nonsense.
right, right. Yeah, it's absolutely the depth thing is just kind of just it's kind of insane 'cause it's like I think everybody was trying to paint the whole thing between him and oh, it actually says Inception. He was cinematographer on Inception.
Okay,
So
so the yeah, because he now
that
has
was the last one.
yeah, who shot
And then
Oppenheimer?
Moneyball was somebody else, but he did Moneyball. Actually, Dark Knight Rises, he did that. He was DP on that one. That didn't come out after Inception, did it? I guess it
I
did.
think yeah, it does.
It
Yeah.
did. Yeah, okay.
But no, Nolan, it's shortly after that. It's the
That's
last
after
Batman
Dark Knight.
film, I think, is the last one that Pfister does for Nolan, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's the
Um,
case.
and his new cinematographer, because I was looking it up earlier today, and his new cinematographer, what new? I mean, new since then, um, is I'm gonna look for it now. Is Hoyt van Hoytema.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, it's kind of crazy when some of these names that they sort of they start with some of this. I mean, obviously the big one we talk about all the time is Spiro Rosatos, that
Right,
he's doing PM Entertainment movies. But I mean, even Darren Prescott worked under him on those PM
right.
Entertainment movies. That yeah, it's kind of crazy. But yeah, Wally Pfister's another one. But yeah, the Johnny Depp thing, it's like I think everybody wanted to kind of frame that situation between him and Amber Heard as more her than him.
Right.
But
Well, they're both mental.
yeah, I mean, Johnny Depp is Johnny Depp. It's like,
Yeah, he's mental.
yeah,
I mean, he's mental. What's weird about Johnny Depp is that there is literally prior to Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Johnny Depp,
yeah,
and then there is post Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Johnny
yeah,
Depp. And I don't know, like, I'm not saying Johnny Depp like couldn't handle Hunter S. Thompson, but I feel like Hunter S. Thompson put a curse
right,
on Johnny Depp. He got away with Pirates of the Caribbean because much like the character he plays in Fear and Loathing, what people I've not heard many other people say, but I saw it the moment I watched Pirates of the Caribbean, is he's basically doing Keith Richards meets Hunter S. Thompson because it's all this
right,
limb stuff. It's all this stuff he
right,
does with his hands and the way he moves around and the way he walks and stuff. That's
yeah,
exactly how he is in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. And
yeah,
since Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, every thing, like all of the weird, bad, mad, I've bought an island, I'm, whatever, Johnny Depp stuff starts. And Amber Heard is just part of that insanity. You know what I mean? Prior to Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, we're fine with Depp. Post Fear and Loathing. And also there was a weird thing that happened with Man of La Mancha, the
Yes, yeah.
documentary about Terry Gilliam trying to make Don Quixote. And the agreement was there, which was, and this is interesting, is that it everything beset that film, right? It all
Yeah.
fell apart and da 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 da, and there was tornadoes and there was planes flying overhead and there was money with problems and everything, right? So that if you watch Man of La Mancha, you can see everything fall apart. Is it called Man of La Mancha? No.
The Terry Gilliam movie
The
about it?
documentary about making of the Johnny Depp version of Don Quixote that was ultimately abandoned.
Right. Yeah.
I forget what it's called. Is it Man of La Mancha? Maid in La Mancha? Something like that.
That could be too. Yeah.
Anyway, in that documentary, you see
Oh, is
the
it The
movie.
Man Who Killed Don Quixote? Is that what it's called? Or is that the movie?
No, that's the movie with Adam Driver that eventually came out.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But anyway, there was after that fell through, Terry Gilliam and Johnny Depp talked to each other and said, "Well, let's fund this ourselves. Let's stop trying to do this with everyone else's help because it's fucking everything up. Let's go away and make some commercially viable movies, and we'll come back down the road." Johnny Depp went off and made Pirates of the Caribbean, and Terry Gilliam did not go off and make any financially viable films whatsoever.
Yeah.
In fact, he turned down a bunch. So it's always interesting to me that the Pirates of the Caribbean comes out of the fact that Johnny Depp was trying to fund Don Quixote, and instead it made him a mad, reclusive, multi-millionaire who bought islands and drank vats of wine and swanned around his palatial mansions doing all manner of goblinry.
Right.
And then marrying Amber Heard and shitting on each other's beds and whatever else that went on.
Well, because that was what I'd heard about that was that it was they have he had because he was always has these dogs, and I guess there was like a dog that would do that, and she was like, why did he think I did it? Was the dog? The dog was known for shitting on the bed,
Yeah, I
um,
mean, I don't I'm
yeah,
not. I know everyone else got super involved in like the Depp Heard, debacle. I just don't care. I mean, I
no, but
really don't care.
yeah,
He was, Depp to me was a bit like Leonardo DiCaprio is. He was good
yeah,
and was interesting, but not as good or as interesting as everyone made him out to be.
yeah,
I mean, there were some Edward Scissorhands is a genuinely bizarre, interesting, unnerving, comical performance, and it's
yeah,
it's genuinely a phenomenal performance. And everything he does up until like Fear and Loathing and even Pirates of the Caribbean or whatever is a he's very gifted and it's an interesting performance and it's worth tuning into. Everything after that has been an absolute catastrophic waste of time.
yeah. No, so I found the movie. I think it's called Lost in La Mancha. Is
Lost
that?
in La Mancha. I knew it
Yeah,
had La Mancha in the title. Man of La Mancha is the musical.
right. That's the musical with who was not Laurence Olivier, who was
I
Peter
don't know.
O'Toole, right? Was
Oh, Peter O'Toole plays,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
so. Yeah.
plays Don Quixote. Who played Sancho Panza in it?
I don't remember who because I think what's the actor the character the female character it's like I think Sophia Loren played that character.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah. I that was one of those ones. I don't know if you had this when you were in school, but where I went to school, as a kid, teachers didn't like to do things the week before Christmas, and so they would show us movies, and that was one of them, Man of La Mancha.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't,
What now he's voicing a character called Johnny Puff. So he did a TV miniseries called Puffins as
right,
the voice of Johnny Puff. Then he did Puffins Impossible. Now he's doing Johnny Puff's Secret Mission.
right, right.
He's done a movie in France. where he plays
Oh, that one, I think I saw
Louis
that
the
one.
15th.
I didn't see the movie, but I saw that that was available. Like I saw that, yeah.
Um, I mean, when was the last time he did anything? I
Yeah,
suppose Murder on the Orient Express was sort of the last time he was in a big movie, I guess.
right, right. No, it's
2017.
yeah, because he has that one that came out where he's like the photographer. That I think is kind of more of an indie movie.
Yeah.
What was that one
I
called?
quite, for my sins, I quite enjoyed Mordecai. I thought Mordecai was quite
I
funny.
haven't seen that one yet. No, Minamata, that's the one where he was the photographer. That was came out in 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of his newer stuff. I think
Yeah, I mean, look, I know, I don't know, like, why is he meant to be problematic now?
right.
Just because him and her used to fight or something?
Yes, exactly.
He
He was
claimed she abused him.
right. They kind of yeah,
Yeah,
they kind
she
of
claimed that he
convened play.
abused
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it was yeah. Yeah, right. It's like, how do I don't I didn't follow it enough to know. I think I just the one that I knew was the whole because everybody talked about the fact that everybody was saying that she shit the bed and which is a term my dad used for like something dying is that they shit the bed. But no, but like that was the one that I'd heard was kind of debunked that like but everybody ran with it because they just thought it was such a great idea.
What
Um
is this movie, Waiting for the Barbarians, with Mark Rylance, Johnny Depp, and Robert Pattinson? What is that?
no.
From when was this from? That Pattinson is in it.
I haven't
2016.
seen Yoga Hosers yet, but I guess he's in that.
He is, but it's the same character that he is in Tusk.
Oh, okay.
Um,
And yeah, this is interesting. It's
I don't
some kind
know.
of colonial
Greta
movie.
Scacchi is in it.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah,
Wow. And
yeah.
where is this from? Because this looks like a Indian film, maybe, or
Well, let's see.
is it a Bollywood film, or is it where's it from?
Yeah,
Maybe.
because Spiro Rosatos does Bollywood movies. It says it's based off a novel. Italy, it's an Italian movie, but
Oh,
it's
it's an
partly
Italian
in
film.
Mongolian and filmed in Morocco. So it's an Italian production filmed in Morocco.
Okay.
Um,
It's Mongolian.
right, it's Mongolian as well. Yeah.
So wait,
So
it's a Mongolian movie made in Italy, and the United States and Morocco.
yeah, it looks like it. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. All right.
Yeah.
With Robert Pattinson,
Right, right. And
fucking Mark Rylance.
yeah, and
Was
Johnny
this
Depp.
after Rylance won? Yeah, this was after he won the Academy Award. Rylance followed it up with this movie. Wow. And isn't it mad that Mark Rylance has an Academy Award and Johnny Depp doesn't?
Yes, I'm sure. I wonder if they brought that up. Yeah.
Because Johnny Depp is just a nominee. And I'm like, look, I understand he went a bit mental, but Johnny Depp, like at his height, was, a fantastic actor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Madness. Well, look, I'm not throwing Johnny under the bus. I'm also not racing to see his next film, but like,
Right.
I'm not throwing him under the bus. Let him voice
Yeah.
Johnny Puffs or whatever he's doing. Like,
Right, right,
I
exactly.
can't, I can't progress. He's apparently making yet another Christmas Carol movie. Fuck.
Yeah.
Do we really need another adaptation of Christmas Carol? He's playing
Yeah.
Scrooge, apparently.
Of course. Yeah, he's got it.
Um, and he's in a movie called Day Drinker, directed by Mark Webb,
Right.
who directed 500 Days of Summer and
Oh, that one. Yeah.
The Amazing Spider-Man and Gifted.
Mm. Because he did Amazing Spider-Man. I think people weren't as fond of that. I think he got some backlash.
Yeah, he also executive produced Crazy Ex-Girlfriend,
Okay. Yeah.
the Rachel Bloom. Can you believe I interviewed Rachel Bloom on Crosstalk, and now she's like an Emmy, a Golden Globe winning comedic actress?
Yeah, that's amazing. That
Yeah.
is, yeah.
I
That's
interviewed her like right before Crazy Ex-Girlfriend premiered on where did it end up? It originally had a deal with Showtime, but then it moved from Showtime and they moved it to it was that network that suddenly popped off because it had that and so was American Virgin a show? Am I right saying that that was a TV show at some point?
Oh, I don't know.
It was something like that. It was one. It was it the CW?
Oh, could have been the CW. Yeah, that could have.
Was it the CW? Yeah, Jane the Virgin. That was
Oh,
it.
Jane
Jane
the
the
Virgin. That was the show.
Virgin.
Okay.
Don't trust the bitch in apartment 23. Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. It was out all around that kind of time. But what channel
Yeah.
was Jane the Virgin on? Because Jane the Virgin, it was the CW. So Jane
Yeah.
the Virgin and Crazy Ex-Girlfriend was like the CW trying to like go back to their Buffy days and
Right.
having kind of water cooler television. And for a hot minute, those two TV series were like hugely popular on the C dubs, as us
Right.
hip kids
Right.
call it.
Right.
Uh, the
Right.
um, and that's it. That's all I know about that. But I interviewed Rachel Bloom
Yeah.
on Crosstalk live on some ran. It wasn't Crosstalk 2020 when I did it recorded. This was back when I used to do Crosstalk live, and we had
Wait,
Rachel Bloom on the phone. Wasn't that mad?
that's so that was when this podcast started, was
Yeah,
that same night of podcasting, that same night of
it
live
was one of
shows.
those nights. Yeah, I don't. It
Right.
wasn't the first one, but if I look it up, Crosstalk Rachel
Yeah, because
Bloom.
I don't remember how the order went, but I thought like Crosstalk may have come like right after our show
Episode
or
12. So that might
episode.
have even been the last. Is it the last? Oh, I don't want to go on to.
Yeah, because eventually it just was my show on that night. It was just the DTV connoisseur. And then, eventually with that Jamie moving and getting work and me with work, stuff like that, it kind of just, you know, that iteration of the podcast kind of disappeared after it was at 2015.
Yeah, so we went as far as 14 episodes in the first series of Crosstalk.
Yeah.
Um, but Rachel Bloom was episode 12,
Yeah.
and which is mad.
Yeah.
Which is mad.
Yeah.
Was there not an episode 13? I can't find an episode 13 on here.
It's
Um,
possible there wasn't. Or, well, no, would you think there, yeah, unless somebody subbed in for you or something? I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. But we
Yeah.
had a ton of people on. We had Tom Sullivan, the effects master of Evil Dead. We had Weird Paul, who is the original vlogger, who was we had him on there. We had so many weird people on Crosstalk, the first series. That was just a wild time, that was.
Was, yeah.
And then, of course, we had Peter Spellos, Clint Howard, and Herbert Russell in the second series of Crosstalk,
Yes. Yeah.
um, who are all actors. Um, and you, Doc, and Mo did an episode of Crosstalk 2020 as well.
That's right. That's right. I forgot about that because yeah, I think that was the last time that I had done anything with Mo until we did the
We
Angels
did
of the
8
City episode.
episodes of Crosstalk. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, the lives I've lived, my friend.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
But yeah, I got to. I mean, look, I've spoken to people more famous than her on like After Movie Diner or whatever as
Yeah.
an interview, as a setup, pre-recorded interview. It's more that she came on the show as a big YouTube star on a
Right.
show that had, because that's where she made her I Want to Fuck Ray Bradbury or whatever was her big hit that made them convinced that she could do Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. And I love her, by the way. I thought Crazy Ex-Girlfriend was a fantastic show. I even like that TV show reboot on Hulu that they canceled after one season. I wanted that to keep going. I thought that was great with Paul Reiser and Rachel Bloom. Um, but and her husband wrote the Rescue Rangers movie that came out recently that was actually like really good fun. It was sort of a nostalgic meta kind of take on the subject matter, but it was still really cool. Um, but yeah, to have her and Weird Paul, both of whom, believe it or not, on the internet are kind or at that time were kind of big names. To have them on my show that was getting 4 listeners or whatever it was by the time we went on, and I'm banging stuff around in my apartment and trying to be funny and trying to make it sound like a live show, and uh Yeah, that's such a weird. And then she just came on, and I just babbled at her for 45 minutes. She must have just been like, "What's going on? Why did anyone agree to this? Why did like she? I wonder if she's ever listened back to it." Because I don't think she heard the opening. I think she
Right.
just was like, "Oh, be on Zoom at this point or whatever we were, you or call this number at this point kind of thing." So I don't
Yeah.
know. She wasn't listening to it live, I don't
Right.
think. But I wonder if she went back and listened to it, and halfway through the opening went, "What the fuck show was I just on?" Oh, what a joy! What a joy, man.
Yes. Yes.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is mad the people I've spoken to, Gutenberg and uh just Gutenberg, really. Peter Weller.
Yeah. I mean, Scott
Um,
Adkins.
Scott Adkins twice. In fact, the
Yeah.
second time I spoke to Scott Adkins, he emailed me and said, "John, would you mind setting up an interview for me in my latest film with
Yeah.
Adrian Boll, the director?" Yeah, mad. Oh, I just got hold of Annie Wood, who's in Cell Block Sisters, but also was in The Last Riders that PM Entertainment made as Eric Estrada's girlfriend,
Right.
biker girlfriend, and was also in. She was in a couple of other bit parts and extra work and stuff for PM. So we're going to get into it with Annie Woods, which is great. She's awesome in Cell Block Sisters. I mean,
Yeah.
just an absolutely phenomenal performance. I can't recommend that movie enough to people. I mean, it's although there is some like women in prison, naked shower, fist fight, kick punch kind of shenanigans that goes on. And poor Gail Harris does get booted in the stomach several times in the movie while topless and while not topless. While it does have that kind of exploitative thing, it's actually like a genuinely really cool movie. And Henry Charr should have stuck with that stuff instead of going on and making talking dog movies or whatever he went on to make. All right, Matt, I'm yawning.
Yes.
It's 10 to 1 in the morning. Let's wrap
Yes.
this puppy up.
We'll call it good. Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming on, John. This was a ton of fun. Thank you everyone for listening. We'll be back soon. Bye, everyone.
Definitely. And check out my Instagram, After Movie Diner
Oh,
Instagram.
yeah. Do we have other plugs? Did you have anything else you wanted to plug?
No, just check out my After Movie Diner Instagram. I just
All right.
want more people to watch that. So,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure. All right. Thanks, man.
all right, man, take it easy. This
You
has been a
too.
lot of fun.
Same
Love you,
here.
dude. All
Yeah.
the best.
Have a good one, man. Talk to you soon.
First of all, you are witnessing right now, I don't know if you know this,
Yeah.
a three-pronged part of my midlife crisis.
Right.
So there's my midlife crisis is taking many forms, Matt.
Yeah.
But three prongs of that is I got my first tattoo.
Yes, I see that. This is amazing.
Look at that.
That is
That is a
fantastic.
monster, a sea creature, an
Yeah.
insane sea creature dragging VHS down to its watery lair.
I love that.
So there's that, right? Mad
Yeah.
tattoo, huge, colorful tattoo. Most people with their first one, they've got like a little heart or a flower or a
Right.
thing,
Exactly.
or
Yeah.
maybe something in Gaelic or Japanese. But like this is a whole fucking look at it.
Right.
The whole
Yeah.
thing. It's a whole thing. It's beautiful. So that's
That is
prong
amazing.
one of my
Yeah.
midlife crisis. Prong two is I got a
You painted your fingernails.
I got a
Yeah.
manicure and had
Right.
them paint my fingernails.
Right.
I don't know why, but it's my midlife crisis, Matt. It's happening
Right.
before your very eyes.
Yes.
And the third is, of course, the hair,
Yeah.
which is getting longer because as you get to midlife, I want to relive the joy of being young and having long hair one last time. Because
Yeah.
after, like, once I hit 50, like, you can't have long hair after 50. Like, don't be that guy. Don't be the guy having long hair after 50, because then you're a kids in the hall character, and I don't want to do that. Unless you have a skullet. If you have a skullet, that's a
Yeah.
whole other story.
Right. Right.
But anyway, so I'm doing that, and so that's the three prongs of my midlife crisis. So you're witnessing those today. So I hope you're happy about that. The other
Yes.
thing that I wanted to promote, if I do a little self promotion, if you don't
Yes.
mind,
Absolutely.
is I want everyone listening to go check out my After Movie Diner Instagram, because I think, Matt, I have been killing it with
Yes.
my weird little videos on Instagram lately. We've had my I think it's been a greatest hits
Yeah.
because we've got the one where I was watching a documentary about Messiah of Evil, and in the middle of it, this very like posh guy comes on, going, and at one point the woman's in the bath, and there he was going on about this woman in the bath, and then I edited in me as if I was in the documentary, interrupting another character, and going, wait, let's go back to the bit about the bath. So that I thought was a great video.
Yeah.
And I don't normally say this, but I think it's great. Then we had the Tubi wants me to add more accounts
Right.
video. I'm so proud of that video. That was so much fun to ad lib. Then you've got I think a wonderful diatribe about the theatrical experience is dying. Long live the theatrical experience, which
Yeah.
is me ranting against Hollywood, saying that the theatrical experience is dying when it clearly isn't. Uh, then I do the when I'm really high, watching the producer logos at the beginning of a movie really freaks me out. That was a great thing. And then just the other day, I did a video commenting on I don't know if you've seen this, but on Tubi and Pluto and Zumo and all those platforms, they run an Amazon ad
Yes.
where a woman is in a plane and it's talking about how she has a
Yes.
UTI
Right.
and you have to brace your urethra for turbulence. And I'm like, which marketing agency wrote the sentence, you have to brace your urethra for turbulence, as a way to sell Amazon, Matt, as a way to.
It's- Well, because I love the idea with Amazon where it's like, okay, Jeff Bezos is already worth $200 billion. He can't spend all that money in his life. His company, just the AWS, the servers that they have, makes him billions of dollars every year. And instead of being like, okay, you know what? We've cornered the market on all shopping. We own Whole Foods. We own the Washington Post, and we've destroyed it. Why do I need to do anything else? Instead, he's like, no, I need to make more money with selling medication. And then the other thing, I guess, is he's like working with these companies to like essentially replace humans with robots and stuff because he just doesn't want to pay workers. And it's like, I mean, I would be okay. Like if I just had like what the $200,000, I wouldn't be able to live off it. But so I don't even know what that is a fraction
They're
of
such
200
Bond
billion.
villains, Matt. They're such
Yes,
Bond villains. They're
right.
so narrow-minded in their
Yes,
thinking.
right. It's so creepy. But to your point, is that like we're watching this commercial where Amazon's saying like, "Oh, hey, guess what? We sell medications now too, and you can get them on a plane." With which one of the things about that plane is that
When
that's
you are magically
right,
and terrifyingly struck down with a UTI,
right.
was she just sat there and going, oh, boom, there we go. That
Yeah,
UTI is back again. It's not
right.
like she's in the bathroom now, it comes out of the bathroom. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe UTIs give you a little pain in the lower stomach, but I mean, she just sat in between two people. It's
right,
so weird because it's like this comedic advert. There's a big fat
right,
guy like drooling on a shoulder and
right.
another
Yes,
person snoring or whatever. You're like, This could also, man, this could have been any illness. This could have been, don't you always have a headache when you come off the plane? Well, have
Right,
aspirin waiting for you or have whatever.
right,
It could be because she gets migraines and she has to take,
right,
Provenzalax or some other made up thing.
right, 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 right.
She has
A rash.
restless nipple syndrome, and so
Right,
therefore she has to, take take Ebglyss.
right, right, right.
But why is it UTI, Matt? And why is
Yeah.
that what we're doing to sell Amazon's illegal public drug trade?
Right. And then I also love this idea that everybody just thinks it's funny that flying on planes sucks.
Yeah,
Right? Right?
yeah,
It's like we've just all accepted that
yeah.
flying on a plane has to suck. And
Flying
that
sucks. Yeah,
and it's just like it's a sucky thing to have to deal with. And
yeah,
you're dealing with this horrible life. It's like the airlines don't look at this commercial for Amazon and go, wow,
right.
we're really shitty.
Yeah,
Like
we
we
should
should
sort
we
our shit out.
Right. It's like, no, they have no shame
No shame.
whatsoever. And they're just like, yep, that's right. That's what flying's like because we're trying to squeeze every last dime out of you.
Yeah,
That, flying is the most miserable thing ever.
unless of course you have billions of dollars, in which case you can sit
Fly
up
private.
front and be, given hand jobs
Right. Or you have a
and
private
whiskey.
plane. Right. You have a private jet that's just polluting the planet,
Right.
with your
Which is also made out of hand jobs and whiskeys.
exactly, exactly. Yes. Yeah. It's funny when you watch these commercials because you're just like I said, like with the Amazon one, you're just like, okay, so Amazon's and the thing is, my novels are all on Amazon, so it's like, I can't do I follow this guy Cory Doctorow who talks about he came with the term enshittification. So he talks about how these companies like Amazon, Facebook, whatever they enshittify the process, so they lock you in and then they make the thing shitty, so you're stuck with it.
Yeah.
And it's like he talks about how
While also stopping anyone else who had a competitive thingy or
exactly
competitive thingy rather. Competitive? What does that mean?
right,
A
right,
competitive thingy, they've shut all them down and put
right,
them out of business. And then they've shitified the thing. I
right,
suppose you could always go to lulu.com
right,
for your
exactly.
they do self-publishing.
Right. Well, but what he says is he's like, you can what he calls shop hard, which means like you boycott Amazon, you boycott Target, or whatever. He's like, you can do that, but really, it's not about the money you spend at those places. It's about the fact that those places should be regulated more. Right.
Right.
Like Amazon does provide a service. There are people who either live in rural areas where they can't get some of these things, and so Amazon provides them. People that have disabilities that can't go out.
Yeah, we
Amazon's
just
great
want
for
them
those
to
things.
pay their workers properly,
Exactly. Yeah.
and we just want them to not put other stuff out of business. We don't want them to
Exactly.
own everything.
Exactly. But we used to have laws that protected us for these things. And, and that's really what we need is we need regulation and laws
Why
again.
physical media is life, Matt.
Yes.
Why physical media is life, and why I have a giant tattoo
You got
of
it.
me as a monster, basically, with
Yeah.
many tentacles dragging my VHS back to my watery lair, where I'm like, leave me alone. I'm going to watch my VHS,
Right.
and the rest of the world can go fuck itself. I'm going to watch some Gregory Dark movies.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a little bit of Shannon Whirry in here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get some Jennifer Rubin. I'm gonna get some
Yeah.
Rubens up in here,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna say goodbye because this is my watery depths, Matt. The
Yeah.
basement in my house is my watery depths,
Right. Yeah.
and that's what this symbolizes.
It represents bringing the VHS down to the watery depths. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
you see,
fantastic.
he's got a VHS tape here and a VHS tape here, and then there's a VHS tape over here where the tape is coming out and hanging down. Look at that.
I love that is amazing.
Yeah, it's great. There's so
It's
much detail in this. It's awesome.
yeah.
There's also VHS tape bobbing in the water at the bottom of
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah. I don't know what my equivalent of the midlife crisis. I think the thing for me, I think, was post-COVID.
You've got
Living
to
your
build a throne of Moxie. That's what you
right,
have to do. You have to buy so many cans of Moxie
yeah,
that you podcast only on a throne made out of boxes of Moxie.
right. Well, I think coming out of the pandemic in 2019, I went to my first New York Mets game where I
Yeah.
just took a train up that day, watched the game, and came back, and I was like, huh. I could go to games in New York and Washington, and it's not a big deal. And then COVID hit, and suddenly I couldn't do that. And now it's like every year since then I've tried to go to games and it's kind of really taken off since 2023. That might be the thing for me is just like, like
Sports games.
Yeah, I think like I've already like the baseball season starting and I've already mapped out my games. I'm going to a like Washington Nationals game in April and a Mets game in May and Yankees game in June, Phillies. But then I'm like looking at like obviously travel right now is shit. But I was looking at like can I do a same day round trip to Florida to see the Marlins play because it's like in the summer you can get like during the middle of the week you get these cheap like Spirit flights and it's like
Right.
here I'm talking about how horrible travel is, but it's like if I'm doing a same day round trip, I don't need to worry about my bag or anything like that. It's like that's
Right.
what I do
Right.
with Chicago. I do those same day round trips to Chicago.
Right.
Trying to save money. But yeah, but I think the reality
I
of
think
being
when it becomes a midlife crisis, Matt, is when you're close to bankruptcy.
yeah,
And
and
the
you're still
reason why you're close to bankruptcy is because you've taken too many round trip flights to Florida to see Marlin
well.
games.
See, I'm wondering if it's that or like
That's when it gets midlife crisis. Yeah.
well, I was looking at Pittsburgh, right? Now,
Yeah.
now Pittsburgh, my wife,
Great town. Love Pittsburgh.
yeah,
To
see,
Pittsburgh.
my wife and I always wanted to go. She always wants to go with me, but she hasn't felt up to the trip recently. And so I was thinking, like, how can I do it the cheapest just to like, do the game and come back? Well, so there's an airline that flies out of Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So you can take a train to Lancaster and then the flight from there to Pittsburgh. And then I can get the Greyhound bus back that night. Um, and so I think the thing that's probably the reality for me as I'm, going to be 47 here in a couple weeks is that I don't know if my back and my system can handle a 6 hour bus ride. Like
I know.
that's
I
the
used to
thing.
do it as a younger man.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I ever went to Pittsburgh, it was from New York and it was on one of those Bolt buses or Metro
Yes.
buses or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And it was 8 hours with a stop at like 2:30 a.m.
Right.
So like the stop in the middle of the bus trip was right when you'd want to be sleeping. And it
Yeah.
just
Right.
stopped at like an all-night gas station in the middle of Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
miles away from anywhere. The only other stop on the way was it's not the University of Pennsylvania. What's the big
Penn State.
university? Penn State, right?
Yeah.
So Penn State, right in the middle there, it stops at Penn State. So those are the two stops. It's
Yeah.
8 full hours, and I used to be able to do that no problem,
Yeah.
no problem. This last time I went to Pittsburgh, I drove it myself
Yeah.
in a nice car with a nice seat, able to stop whenever, and I didn't drive through the night, and I was still, and it only took me 6 hours, and I was like, oh, it's so long.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I've gone from being absolutely fine on an 8 hour bus with stops at 2 and 4 a.m. and still
Yeah.
having a full day in Pittsburgh when I get there at 7 a.m. Absolutely fine, no problem, to having a problem driving 6 hours in a car.
Yeah, I did. So I did a bus back from Boston to New York, somewhat recently. It was like a couple years ago, and it was like a 4 hour bus ride. And I was just like I needed to get off the bus, and then from
Yeah,
there I was taking trains back from New York. And it's like I have to remind myself that I'm not that person anymore, like you said, that you just do an 8 hour trip. It's like,
right.
but I'm also looking at it, I'm like. I can avoid the hotel if I get the bus back. It's 6 hours. It's like, but it's it's Greyhound or Flixbus or whatever it's called
Yeah,
now. It's like and I watched this travel blogger. His name's Miles. The channel's called Miles in Transit. He's young. He's like in his mid 20s, but he does all these trips all over the country. He essentially exposes how bad inner city bus travel is in this country when he rides on Greyhound. And it's like there's always shit happening every time he takes a Greyhound. And it's like it kind of gives me anxiety because I remember myself like all the stuff that would happen when I would take Greyhound. And it's like,
yeah.
you know,
Wasn't someone beheaded on a Greyhound?
I think was it no, I think it was like a Canadian commuter bus. I think it was like
Oh, it was? I
I think
thought
it was
someone was beheaded on a Greyhound.
I mean, it could have been a Greyhound too. I wouldn't put it past a Greyhound. Yeah, like whenever I'm choosing my seats on a Greyhound, I make sure I'm as close to the front as possible. I'm like, I'm not
Yeah,
messing around back there. It's like a, wretched hive of scum and villainy when you get
yeah,
towards
it's
the
a no
back.
man's land full of thieves and
Yeah,
pirates and hobos and ne'er-do-wells.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But I think that is like, the midlife crisis part of it. I think it does sometimes run up against the reality of being older that like there's certain aspects of things but I mean I see I'll see like old ladies riding the bus the inner city
Yeah,
bus but see I think part of that is that they're like 4'11" and
right.
I'm 5'7". I'm not like tall or anything but I think it just gives you a sense too that like being 5'7" on a bus, and I'm like dying, right? Like it's too, I can't imagine being like 6 foot or 6'2" or
Oh
something
yeah.
like that.
I
Yeah,
mean, I'm 5'10", 5'11",
right,
something
yeah,
like that. And yeah, I mean, I just used to do it. I used to be able to
yeah,
sleep anywhere, man. I used to be able to
right,
put my head on the window of a bus
right, and
and
go to
just like
sleep.
head to glass and just
Right,
fall asleep, even though I would be like bumping along as
right,
the bus. Just be able to fall asleep. It was fine.
yeah,
Now I can barely sleep in a king sized bed with a
right,
delightful brand new mattress and everything else, and I'm
yeah,
still like, oh, I'm so uncomfortable.
right. It's amazing.
Because basically, as you get older, you just want cushions and softness and
Right.
marshmallows. And just just carry me to my rest with just lots of soft things. Yeah.
But I think it's the reality too, right? Is it's like I should go to these as many of these baseball parks as I can now
Yeah, you
because it's
should.
only
Yeah.
going to get worse when I get older. Like it's
No,
gonna,
no, you should definitely do that, and just
yeah,
put up with it, and then you'll
yeah,
have stories to tell, and you'll roll into
hmm
the grave with, arthritic joints and a bad back and crazy
yeah,
teeth or whatever, but you will have lived a life, and that's,
yeah,
don't go quietly into the grave, skid into the grave playing rock guitar. And so, part of my thing was, it's not that I didn't have that period of my life between sort of 15 and 23, 24, where you're at that age where you're sort of not, you're in the workplace because you're kind of doing side jobs or kitchen work like I was doing, or working in a pub or something. But you're not in the workforce yet. You're
yeah,
not professional yet, right?
yeah,
But at the same time, it's that you're old enough to do your own stuff, but young enough to still make wild swings and mistakes. So I
yeah,
certainly had that period. It's this is not about me missing something I didn't do when I was a kid, but it is about, the painting my nails and having a tattoo and growing my hair long again, whatever. It is about reminding myself, like, you're not too old to do stuff. You're
right,
not too old to express yourself a different way than you've expressed yourself in the past. And you're not too old to go like, well, look, I've never had a tattoo. I've never painted my nails. Uh, you know, uh, and I wanted to dye my hair blue. In fact, I did use a blue hair dye thing that was called Overtone that was meant to, and it just completely washed out the first day and painted my entire bathtub blue. So it didn't work. But I did try and dye my hair as well, and it was just a way of kind of saying to myself, like, you're young enough to still do stuff different. And you're old enough not to give a fuck what anyone else thinks, which is just
yeah,
such a beautiful place
yes,
to be, because I'm like, I don't care anymore. This is me, and I'm doing some stuff, and you either like me or you don't, and that is what it is. And it's sort of that's also what it's about. It's just about, like, do some shit you haven't done before you can't do that shit anymore. And not that you can't get tattoos at 80, or paint your nails if you're a guy your whole life, or whatever it is. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'd never done it. I wanted to do it. Now I've done it. It's part of something that I'm going through, and I think it's rad. I think what I'm doing is kick ass.
yeah. No, I totally agree. I think it's awesome too, and I think you make a great point too about the not giving a shit. I think that's a big piece of it too, to just say, you know what, I don't care. The
No,
other
no.
day I went and saw the Boston Bruins play up in New Jersey, the New Jersey Devils, and
Yeah.
I wore my Bruins stuff. I was like, I'm gonna wear my Bruins stuff. I don't, if I get shit, I get shit. But there's a
Dude,
ton
look
of
where the Leafs are on the fucking. We were at the bottom,
I
dude.
know,
We're
I know, I
like
don't want
just
no,
so low, and the fucking Sabres, dude.
I know they're killing
What
it.
is
They're killing
happening? The
it.
Sabres
Yes,
are killing it.
no,
The Sabres have been, oh, dude,
yeah.
one of my dearest friends, Nick Console. You met him
I
in,
met
in
him. Yes, we
in
talked
Philly.
about the Sabres. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Big Sabres fan, and he's always very sweet. It's like when the Sabres, don't get in the playoffs or whatever, he'll root for the Leafs,
yeah,
minimally for me, through the playoffs. And similarly, like when the Sabres are really having a rough time, I will, root for the Sabres or send
yeah,
positive encouragement for the Sabres or whatever it is. And we've always had a mutual thing back and forth. It's not that I support the Sabres or he supports
yeah,
the Maple Leafs, but we're very encouraging of each other's thing, because we always, although the Leafs tend to be nearer the top of the division and the Sabres tend to be near the bottom, neither of us get through to the end of the playoffs. So we've always been losers for for a long, long time. The Maple Leafs since the 60s, man.
67, I think was their last. Yeah.
Right. So we always had that kind of simpatico thing. Now the fucking Sabres are like
Yeah.
95 points.
Finally.
We've got
Finally.
71. We're all the way
Right.
down the thing.
Yeah,
And yeah.
finally. The Sabres were years. But yeah, so I
Yeah,
looked
sorry,
at.
you were at the Devil's game. I'm
Well,
sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened was that there was this confluence of the Devils having a sale for tickets because the team's not that good. They're kind of pushed. They're not quite as bad as the Leafs, but they're kind of not.
Right.
And the Bruins are just kind of hanging on to a playoff spot. But
Yeah.
there's a combination of the sale from the Devils and then a sale on Amtrak. So I was able to go to the game for like $40 total,
Nice.
between the ticket and the train. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to do that. And so I get there at the game, and I've got my Bruins stuff on. I'm sitting behind, like, there's some fans that are kind of like a mix of Devils and like there's some Bruins fans that are heckling a Devils player who used to play with the Bruins, right? And so then of course the Devils fans are getting mad. And this one guy who's sitting behind me who's like really obnoxious. He taps me on the shoulder. He's like, "Hey, sorry, man. Like you're cool. I don't want you to think I'm giving you a hard time." And I'm like, "Dude, I don't care." Like I'm just sitting here, just watching. Like I didn't say it like a dismissive. I was like, dude, don't
Yeah.
worry about it. You do what you're doing. I'm in your house. I'm in the Devil's play. You
Yeah.
guys do what you're doing. But I didn't.
I'm in the Devil's zone.
Right, exactly. But I was like, I'm just sitting here relaxing and watching the game. And it is one
I
of
don't
those
need
things.
to be part of whatever insane pantomime you're going through.
Right, exactly. You guys do your thing. You guys yell
Yeah.
at each other. That's fine. You're not insulting me. You're not upsetting me.
No.
But it is one of those things where it's like, yeah, you just don't care. I mean, part of it too, I think, with sports is that I have this mindset of like, I'm not playing the game. So
Yeah.
it's like, yes, I'll cheer for my team and I'll root for my team, but I'm not going to brag about my team because that's not my accomplishment. It's
No.
like,
I did. So there was one time I went to Madison Square Gardens to see the Leafs.
nice.
Only
Yeah.
once
With Rangers fans.
with Rangers fans.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
And it was Nick Console, the aforementioned Sabres fan,
Yeah.
who got it for me for my 40th birthday. And he got us 3 tickets for me, Kim, and him to go see the Leafs at Madison Square Garden because he knew that I would never go see them at Madison Square Garden myself. It was just,
Yeah.
it
So
had to be a
expensive.
birthday present. It was like one of
Yeah.
those things, and it was an amazing birthday present.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I showed up. I showed up like head to toe in Leaf shit, dude. I put it all on. I had the scarf, I had the hoodie, I had the
Nice,
hat,
nice.
I had the gloves, I had everything.
Right.
And I showed up, and Nick just went, oh, wow. Okay, you're gonna have fun tonight. I was like, what? He's like, oh, Rangers fans can
Yes.
they can be bastards. And I'm like, listen, man, I'm gonna be the one Leaf fan in a sea of Rangers fans. Like they're gonna lose. I'm not like it's fine. And they did. They lost like 4-1 or something. By which point all the Rangers fans are just laughing at me. But I
Right.
sat there, Matt, defiantly,
Yeah.
one guy up in the nosebleeds, surrounded by Rangers fans, watching my beloved Leafs, head bedecked, Matt, bedecked. I even had the gloves with the little Leaf symbol on
Yeah.
it. Bedecked. And the only thing I didn't have that I do own but I wasn't wearing was that I have a pair of Leafs sweatpants.
Oh
And I
yeah.
wasn't wearing those. I was wearing my jeans. But
Right.
everything else that I own, hat, scarf, gloves, hoodie, I was bedecked in Leafs regalia. Because if you're going to go to Madison Square Garden, which is like the home of American hockey
Yeah.
to some extent, then you gotta go in fighting, Matt. That's what I do.
Yeah. Now I finally saw a Rangers game. Again, it was a sale situation. Amtrak sale and then SeatGeek had a sale. So I was able to get a ticket for like $70, which for
Nice.
Rangers is cheap. But I saw them play Ottawa. And yeah, Rangers fans, I was not expecting it because, I go to Yankees games and
Right.
Yankee or Knicks games. I've been to one Knicks game, but like Yankees fans, people think of Yankees, especially me as a Red Sox fan. We're supposed to think of Yankees fans as horrible, but you sit in the nosebleeds at a Yankees game, and everybody's pretty cool there. Like there's not,
Right. Well, it's because they're the only people, like they're the only
yeah,
real people who can afford to be there.
right,
Because
exactly,
everyone else, every ticket below the nosebleeds is like that'll be
exactly.
$300, please.
Yeah,
I'm like to see
which
a
is
midweek
amazing.
non-playoffs game. What's going
Yeah,
on?
that is the most amazing thing about Yankee Stadium is that you can get a $10 nosebleed. Like they're one of the few stadiums that you can still get a $10
Oh yeah,
nosebleed.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And so that's what I do. I get the $10 nosebleed. The concessions aren't horrible. in that
Right.
area
Well,
either.
we
Like,
used to, so StubHub, we used to be able to get for about $40. I don't know if Nick and I ever went over like 40, $50, but for
yeah,
around 40, $50, you could get, it wasn't nosebleeds, it was, I think, second level, I think.
yeah,
Or maybe first level, but the back of the first level for
yeah,
about $40. And I remember we did that one summer's day. We had no idea, obviously, in advance what the weather was going to be like, but it turned out to be one of those beautiful 72 degrees,
oh
a
yeah,
warm breeze blowing across the stadium. And we just sat out in the sun, the two of us. And again, we were still fairly high up, but it was
yeah,
much closer to the game than we normally would be.
yeah,
And we just sat out, and it was one of those things where, although obviously you can't see yourself from, I saw us in a movie with the camera like panning back into the stadium, and us just sat there like sunglasses on, eating chicken and hot dogs and drinking
right,
beer and just having just the happiest two guys could be watching baseball. You know what I mean? It
yeah.
was one of those days, man. It was great.
Yeah, because that's one thing that's beautiful about like Yankee Stadium. It's like that, you know. So what I do is I have a MasterCard credit card, and I guess it doesn't matter what kind of MasterCard it is, but if you have a MasterCard credit card, because that's like their big sponsor, they have days during the week where you can get cut rate tickets
Oh,
by using
nice.
your MasterCard to pay. And so, but it's like for example, I'm going to see them play the Cleveland Guardians. I want to see them play the Red Sox, which is like the next series, but the
Right,
Red Sox aren't part of that. You know
right,
they charge full price for the Red Sox, so it's like
right, right.
$60 for